Hello. I will be talking about Final Fantasy XIV rating foundations in this video. This is going to be a long video that covers a lot of things, but not everything. These are just things that I've compiled that I believe can help a new person kind of get going with rating, especially if you've been just doing casual content. Cool. Alright, so these are the talking points. There's a lot, so I'll go through all of them. Just to briefly go over things. Logistical stuff, so like hardcore in-game stuff. Not hardcore, but like tangible things will be the first section, and then the second part will be like kind of the socializing stuff that are like softer skills, but equally, if not more important stuff. So soft skills, kind of more tangible skills. Not hard skills, but like hard as in matter, as in like solid stuff, like things that you can just use knowledge for. Whereas with social stuff, you can have the knowledge, but kind of still, there's a lot of like non-verbal stuff that you have to deal with in the social part of it. Anyway, okay, so in-game definitions, categorization of fights, duties, right now I'll talk about all that, differences in the different finders, I'll talk a bit about the gear and the item level of stuff, I'll go through how to change your HUD a little bit, an overview of waymarkers, signs, readycheck, buffs, debuffs, loot, gear, food pots, like items you can use for raiding, the difference between mechanics and strategies, more logistical stuff like data center travel, social stuff, how to find people to play with, different types of people you'll meet, kind of the toxicity that can come with raiding and MMOs in general, and just personal responsibility, as in things that you need to take care of on your end, and stuff like that. Okay, cool. So to start off, if someone says any of these things, duty, run, instance, raid, or fight, generally they mean the same thing. I know that in other games, sometimes a raid is like 30 people, 60 people, you know, X amount of people, and then everything else is just like a regular fight or a regular whatever. But in Final Fantasy XIV, all of these terms are kind of used interchangeably. And so the game itself calls all the fights, dungeons, trials, raids, all these things, duties, like a duty instant, like, yeah, I'm pretty, like, because we have the duty finder, and so everything is put under that, so there's that. But the community itself, like the different players and gamers who play, have taken vocabulary from other games and will, you know, use that here. So, you know, a run is like, yeah, do you want to run content? And by content they mean like a fight. And so fights down here too. I forgot to add content here, but yeah. Yeah, so like run is more like a verb people would use, but then they'll also use it as a noun. Let's go do that run, like run through it, but also the run itself is like the fight. Okay, an instance is like the same, but that comes from like server stuff, where you enter a game and then you enter another subsection of the game. It's like you have a dedicated room on the server where you and, you know, 7 other people are playing together a very particular fight, and so that's considered an instance, like a different room, and so that's why some people will call it an instance. Sometimes like if you're in a fight and then there's the timer that goes down, it's like, hey, you only have 10 more minutes left for this, and then someone says to re-instance, that means, you know, leave the room and go back into the room so that your timer resets, so you have more time in there. And raid is like typically when people raid things, they're running in and like grabbing stuff and like causing havoc, things like that. But here we're playing a game, so we're doing this in a controlled manner. We're going to fight the bad guys, and we happen to get loot at the end, and so rating comes from that. We're going into a place, doing some stuff, fighting, and then getting some stuff afterwards. So all these things basically mean the same thing, okay, in this game. So just keep that in mind. Moving on. Categorization of duties. Okay, so for the normal content, so it's like baseline game stuff that you don't have to actively study as much, like you can just jump into it. For some people, I know, like if you're very new to the game, it might be difficult and you do want to read guides or listen to other people or get more support, and that's totally cool. But for the general community of casual players, the normal content is stuff that the developers have created with the expectation that you can go into it blind. Like you don't have to look things up. Like technically it should teach you, but the game actually doesn't do that well of a job teaching things in like a sequential way. It's a whole thing. I'm not gonna get into the logistics of like game design and all that stuff, but we'll just consider it normal versions, and we got harder versions. Okay, so we got normal dungeons, we got normal trials, like trials are the boss fights. We got normal alliance raids. Alliance raids are the 24 people ones where you have 3 groups of 8 players. So 3 times 8 is 24. Okay, so these are the normal things. And then we have the harder versions. So extreme trials. Typically the extreme trials are more difficult versions of the normal trials that you went through for MSQ. MSQ meaning the main story quest line. And yeah, so they're more difficult versions of it. Some trials have hard versions and then they have extreme versions. It's a whole thing. But technically the hard versions are in the normal area. But after A Realm Reborn, they changed it so they don't have. Well, I think Heavensward still has that kind of, but they've gone away with naming things hard, and instead they use these terms now: extreme, savage, ultimate, things like that. Okay, the normal raids are also boss fights, but they're not part of the main storyline. They are part of like their side quest storylines. And there are normal versions of them, and so technically I could have put normal raids in this normal versions area, but sometimes people don't really consider the normal raids like casual content. It's still kind of difficult for some people, and so, you know, labels are there just to help explain things, kind of. Okay, everything is all over the place, but for this slide deck, we're just putting it over here. Okay, and then Savage Raid is going to be the more difficult version of these normal raids. Ultimate raids are their own thing. They're very long boss fights with multiple bosses in them. It's a whole situation. If you're watching this Foundations slideshow video, then you like if you're a sprout, if you're a beginner, which is who I'm making this for, okay, this is going to be an overwhelming amount of information already, and so I don't want to get all up in the details of all the little things here, so let's just leave it at that. There's like different categories of these different types of fight, okay, and depending on what you want to do, you can research those on your own and like find more content for those types of things. If you are someone who has more experience with all these things, feel free to leave a comment dissecting all those things if you want, but I already know this video is going to be hella long, so I'm not going to get into it. But just, yeah, I hope that's enough of a distinction between the different things, okay? I will show in-game content to kind of highlight some of these things too, so don't worry if you don't understand it right now. Next. Oh, bruh. Who made this? Who understood me? Who knew that I would need to just... Okay, let's go. Okay. So, what are we doing? What are we doing exactly? What am I doing? Let me... Okay. I think I was gonna go. How should this? Okay. Wow, I was bamboozled by me yesterday, knowing that I would be frazzled like this. Okay, so here in the duty finder, is it hard to see? I can customize this. Okay, you can go to system configuration, and I can make this super big so you can hella see it. Okay, and then I think I can change my mouse to be hella big. Okay, now you can super see it, right? We'll just go with this for now so everybody can see better. Duty finder. Okay, so I know this is all up in your face, right? It's all up here. It's just normally it's not this big. You saw me change it, right? Okay, so the duty finder. I think that's one of the next slides, actually. Yeah, the finder's over here. Yeah, okay, wait. Let's go back to this. Over here we have duty finder and party finder. The duty finder is what I just showed. I'll go back to it. And this is where the game will make parties for you. They'll queue you up together with people, like put you in a line and match you up with people. And typically healers will queue pretty fast because there aren't as many people who want to play healer. And then secondary to that, tanks. And then there's a, well, it's not like people don't want to play healer. It's always like there are more of the other jobs. So like DPS, there's so many different types of DPS that you can play, and so many people are leveling those different jobs, classes. I never remember what they're called. But the different DPS, there's more of those, and so sometimes it takes way longer for DPS to get into a queue. You might have already experienced that with like normal content. So yeah, and then Party Finder is where you can form groups with other people, like make pre-made stuff, and data set listing for any more jobs. I'll go over this stuff when I show the Party Finder thing. Rage Finder is here, and it's not really used in NA or EU servers, but I know that in Japan that they use them. Hello. Okay, this is gonna seem kind of weird. I'm just gonna like literally throw this in the middle of everything, but I realized as I'm editing this, I didn't talk about a certain part, so we're gonna go through it right here, just like this. This is the level of quality in videos you're gonna get from me. I usually do not edit things, but for this particular one, I was like, yeah, sure. I wanna, you know, get it somewhat organized. But here, what I wanted to talk about before I get into the Party Finder stuff is this little thing that I didn't end up mentioning, so I'm mentioning it now. Where most harder fights are listed. Okay, so we're going to use Party Finder to do the harder fights for the most part. Since Duty Finder doesn't pop much, by pop it means the queue takes a long time, and the little menu that says, hey, commence the thing, it takes a long time, so it doesn't pop up. Or mentors get fussy, explain mentor system. Okay, so this is the part where it's like, the game does not explain this. If you are running, like you want to run a Realm Reborn Extreme Trials, like you can use Duty Finder to queue for it. As in the next part of the video, you'll see me like scrolling through a bunch of stuff. Technically you can queue for that stuff, but the only people who can queue for that with you are mentors. And mentors are people who have done all the content in the game besides Savage and like Ultimates and like the current Extremes or something like that. But they've done a majority of the stuff. So all of the older versions of like the fights, all the older Extreme Trials from A Realm Reborn, Heavensward, Stormblood, Shadowbringers, you have to have done those in order to be a mentor, to get a mentor roulette for that. And so if you're queuing for stuff from A Realm Reborn, you're trying to get into an extreme fight for the first time, you might encounter some people who are mentors. They have the little crown next to their name, and they might get upset and be like, you should use Party Finder for this, don't use Duty Finder. And yeah, it's very common, unfortunately, that is the first time people experience or get to know what Party Finder is. Okay, and so if you're watching this video and you're looking to get into your first raid and it happens to be like any of the earlier ones, it's better to use Party Finder to create a party and find people who want to do that content with you, rather than queuing for it in Duty Finder. It will take a long time to find enough mentors to queue with you if you don't have other people who happen to want to run that, for one thing. And then two, if the mentor finds out that they got queued into an extreme fight, they might just leave, or they might be upset and like be snarky, or you might get some people who are just like, yeah, I'm going to teach the Sprouts how to do this. Okay, so just be aware of that. It's not anyone's fault necessarily in that the game doesn't explain this, okay? So which is why I'm pointing it out right now. If if you want to do an extreme fight, I highly recommend just going to Party Finder, creating your own group, or looking at Party Finder to see if other people have already made a group for that particular fight. And really, I mean, mentors should know that when they get into the mentor roulette, there's a chance they could get the extreme fight, because that's what they're signing up for. But you know, people be people, and they're gonna get all fussy about anything. And typically it's because usually people will clear fights unsynced, so that they can just unlock the mentor roulette, and so they don't actually learn the fight. And so it might just be them projecting their insecurity about not knowing the fight, but being expected to know the fight, and then having to invest X amount of time to do the fight and teach other people. And so the mentor system is its own situation that I won't yammer on about further, but it's not the best system, to be honest. But if you go into Party Finder and you're clear about what content you want to do, it will probably still take a while to get people, but at least then you'll have a better chance of having people who want to be there, who will communicate and try to like do the content like together as a team. Okay, so I didn't mention that in my first go around recording this, and so I definitely wanted to make sure that it got in somewhere. Okay, let's go back to the game. So over here, my mouse is huge. Okay, so here, first off, in the Duty Finder, we've got the Duty Roulette, right? The Duty Roulette here. So Expert is the endgame stuff, like endgame dungeons and things like that. And you'll get a bunch of stuff here. Do I need to go through all this? At this point, like, most people know this if you're gonna get into raiding, right? If not, okay, fine, I'll go through it a little bit. Here's leveling. Here's the stuff. Here's the rewards you get. Gives you kind of more information here if you want to read that. How much time you have. How many people. The item level. This is going to be important for raiding later. I'll show this. They have more information here. Level will be synced upon entry. Loot rules unavailable. Okay. So there's a lot of kind of extra information here that I will go through in the Duty Finder settings once we get there. So we've got leveling trials like MSQ and things like that, but here we got like the end game dungeons, okay, and then like extra dungeons, whatever. Moving forward, we've got the dungeons, okay, guild has, sure, trials, okay, we're familiar with that, but here in the trials we do have the extreme versions. That's where the extreme stuffs are going to be located. Okay, we got all sorts of stuff. I won't click this because spoilers, but then here, the next one, we've got all sorts of our other raids. Like these are considered the normal raids, okay, and then I've got the harder version, the savage versions underneath them. Okay, you know what, I'm actually probably gonna have to edit this anyway, so I will just go ahead and click it. So here I've got my normal trials, and then the high-end trials, that's what the game calls it, and these are technically the extreme ones. The ones that say the Minstrel's Ballad, those are considered extreme versions, even though they're called minstrel's ballad. Okay, you have to talk to this dude who sings a song about the bosses that you fought, and then it's technically called minstrel's ballad because of that. But they're extreme. They're equivalent to extreme fights. Okay, and the raids over here, we've got the alliance raids, and then the normal version of these endgame raids, even though they're kind of more difficult, but anybody can join them. Okay, and then we've got the savage versions, which is more difficult. Anyone can join this too, technically. Like, if you've cleared the normal stuff, you can unlock the savage stuff, but depending on whether you want to do that content or not, we'll go over that. Okay, and then PvP stuff, sure. The high-end duty part is where you're gonna get more of the endgame stuff. So here are all the current listings for these fights. I don't see this lock. It's because I haven't cleared the first one yet, the 9th circle, the first one of this tier. So each tier has 4 fights, and when it's current content, you have to have done the previous one. Okay, so I don't have that. Also, oh wait a minute, it might just be because my item level's not high enough. Yeah, my item level right now is, I think, 630 because I didn't do anything this tier. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, so this one's also item level stuff. Raid finder for details. This here. So here, if it's duty incomplete, that means people can join if they haven't completed the fight yet. And if it's duty complete, that means you've done the fight. And so these two, the matching requirements, will lock out certain people who have or have not done it. Typically it's people who haven't cleared it for like farming purposes and things like that. The purpose here, duty completion or practice, is a way to let people know, hey, we're not looking to clear it, we're just looking to like clean up some of the mechanics or learn the mechanics in general. I mean, if you put duty completion, that means you want to complete it. Practice, phase selection, okay. So this is just to let people know. Okay, if we click here, view parties, so there's a lot here, right? So this is party finder. Let me get out of this and show. You go to the main menu and then you go down here to party. Okay, the big mouse is throwing me off. Party finder. You'll see this window. Man, this is really big. It's hard to like this. Okay, so up here we got data center, and this will list, this first one is all, so it will list everything in the data center that's open, and it's like across the data center. And so people on, do you know what the data centers are? Right now I'm on Aether, okay, and every data center has multiple worlds on it. Okay, I'll show this real quick. Visit another world server. Okay, so here, my home world is on Primal, specifically Ultros. But I'm currently on Adamantoise, which is on the Aether world, Aether data center. And these are all the different worlds I can visit. I can go here and try out a cactuar, okay? And so I go over to a different world. Typically, when you're looking at content on the party finder, you'll be looking at it under the data center. So you'll get a higher, like you'll get people from all the different worlds on your data center playing with you. If you click the world one, this is usually for things where you need to be in the same world. You need to be like running around the same fates as the people. Okay, so with data center here, like what I mentioned with this, the instance, as long as you're on the same data center, you can enter the same instance as them. But if you're gonna do fates with somebody, if you're gonna do fates over here, you want them to be next to you running around, and you have to be on the same world for that. Okay. And then this private area is for people who have pre-made parties that they just want their friends or other people to join with the password. So that's where all of those are located. Okay. But back to the data center one. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Duty finder, party finder. Yeah. Okay. So we're at party finder now. So with this, let's see if we can find. Okay, so duty roulette. Sometimes you'll have people who want to run roulettes together. Okay, then we got guild has it. Most people don't run this, but oh, this is dungeons. Yeah, sometimes people will want to run certain dungeons together. If you are doing blue mage content, almost everything will be in party finder, because you can't queue into things as blue mage, but that's a different story. Guild has not too many people use that. Trials. So this is the boss fights, and most of these are going to be the extreme fights. Okay, so extreme. Minstrel's Ballad is considered extreme. This one, the Crown of Immaculate, is not an extreme fight. There is an extreme version, but it doesn't say extreme here, so it's still a trial though. So it's categorized under here. Also, this is a blue mage one. So this is how blue mages like make their parties. We have these little icons here. This one with the dude with the little red circle cross thingy. Duty finder settings, silence, echo. The echo will help you if you're dying a lot, and so typically people will turn this off for various reasons. For blue mages, they need to turn it off so they can get certain achievements. For other people, they might run this content because they want to run it as if it just came out, and so it's more difficult. And there's fun in that for some people, and so that's why they would turn that off. Duty finder settings, unrestricted party. This means that you can run the content with less people and or with higher item level than the content calls for. So if this content is level 80, having it unrestricted as an unrestricted party means you can take level 90 players into that content. And so you'll see this a lot with people who do farming. It's like farm gwib. The gwibs are these dragon mounts, and the kitty here is the cat mounts that people are farming. And so farm means you run the content over and over until you get the stuff that you want, the loot that you want, the gear, the glamour, the triple triad cards, whatever people are there for. This thing, loot rule, greed only, means sometimes like when you're running for stuff, you can roll need, greed, or pass. Here you can only greed, and therefore it levels the playing field for everyone who wants certain loot. Okay, there's other markers too, and I will go back to the duty finder to show that. But here the raids, we've got it was over here's the right. So we got the normal raids and savage raids. Whoa. Never mind. We got normal raids and savage raids here, but they're not the current tier stuff. It's like the older versions of things, and so sorry, blips whenever I go between the thing. So this, the 8th Circle Savage, is last tier, so technically it's old content now. We've got Eden's stuff, which is Shadowbringer raids. Okay, and we've got Alexander stuff, which was Heaven's Ward raids. And so all your older raids are going to be here, and it'll be mixed between the Savage stuff and the normal stuff. But they'll be in this section. And this person's doing silence, okay. And then the high-end duty, that's where the more current stuff is going to be, but also the ultimates. So here I've got a bunch of ultimate fights listed. Okay, I can't scroll. Okay. So lots of different ultimate things, and we've got here the most current extreme fight that you can do is listed on this high-end duty section. And then here we've got all the current Savage stuff for this tier. It's 9, 10, 11, 12. And we've got all these things. Okay. This is a lot of information. Let's take a breather on this for a moment. Let's continue. I will go through all of what this stuff means in a later slide. Okay. PvP, Gold Saucer, Fates. So typically the Fates one is going to be under the world, because you need to be in the same party, like on the same world, to be on the same field, to be like basically standing next to the people to do that stuff. Treasure hunt, okay, that's like special treasure hunt things people like to, like you get maps and then you can open them and go into portals and go to treasure rooms and things like that. Hunt, typically people will go hunting for A ranks, S ranks, all these things to gather currency for stuff, which is a big part of endgame raiding, because you want this currency to buy things. I'll go through that later. Phrase. Okay, so that's just people. I think that's just people hanging out to go gather. I haven't seen many people use this. Deep dungeons. Okay, that's its own thing. Field operations. I'm not sure what that is actually. And then V and C is variant and criterion dungeons. I'm not going to go through that. Oh, I didn't even say it down here on my little slides. Down here. Variant and stuff I'm not going to talk about. Okay, so that's fine. Well, like this. But let's see, what else do I have here? I went through the duty finder. Okay. I went through party finder. Oh, wait. The private stuff here. I guess I'll show what it's like to like make a thing. If you want to make something, if you want to make your own party finder to find people to play with, you can, it doesn't matter what tab you're in. You go down here to recruit members. Okay. Oh, also there's this, if there's like a bunch of stuff, you can, this is tabbing over to this particular one. So like raids, there is no more. Like I can scroll down, there's more down here, so I can't click that. But like high-end duty, see there's like 100 in there. I can click down here to scroll through the next ones. But anyway, recruit members. Okay, so here, I'm gonna put it like this. I can choose normal, alliance, or custom. Okay, so normal, I can choose one of those categories and I'm going to have my listing posted under. So let's say I want to do a trial, and I can choose all of these different trials. These are all the old trials, all the old boss fights. So you've got normal versions of things and also extreme versions of things. You've also got hard versions of things, but they're still considered like normal. Like technically this is all considered like older content and under the normal thing, but it's still difficult. So like I said, labels are used to kind of help, but sometimes it's still a hot mess. So anyway, we'll go through, just let's say I want to go to this, okay, and then recordable. Some of them you can record in game. That's a new feature. Objective, if I put due to completion, that means I want to finish this fight. Okay. Practice, I'm just going to practice the fight at a certain like phase or something. Like I want to just get to the add phase of a fight. Loot means you already know the fight, you can complete the fight. We're here to get the loot at the end of the fight, and therefore it's expected that you know the entire thing so that we can do this quickly. The issue is sometimes people click these things like loot, but then they don't actually know the fight, and so that can cause kerfuffles. The issue is also people can list it as loot, and people will join who pretend like they know the fight, but they don't actually know the fight, and then that causes kerfuffles. And so it's always best to be open and communicate so that there's less friction about things. And if you're confused about what loot means or practice, you can just ask. And if people are mean about it, then we'll talk about that in the social part of the video. Beginners, first timers, welcome. You can click this and it will show a little thing that says that they're welcome. Okay, you can write a comment. Hello, this is my first time here. Need a clear, please. Help. Okay, you can write whatever you want. Typically, people will write the mechanics they're doing or the reason why they're doing the content, or like they're farming, or need to unlock something. Oh man, unlock ultimate, like, you know, like raids, like there are certain raids that you need to do to unlock certain other raids, and so people might do that. Okay, moving on. Roles, this is where you can choose who you want to join, like what you need for the thing. This is the standard. You've got 2 tanks, 2 healers, and 4 DPS. But you can click on this and change it up. You can click all the tanks, or you can say, like, let's say I already have someone who is a gunbreaker, so I will click all the ones that I want, which is Dark Knight, Warrior, Paladin. So all of these other ones are not clicked, and so that means only a Paladin, Dark Knight, or Warrior can join. And then here I can say, you can customize it. I only want a gunbreaker here, and I only want these 2 here. More common, what you'd see is you'd have peer healers here, and then barrier healers here. So like these give shields, the Sage and Scholar, and White Mage and Astrologian will give regen healing. So sometimes people want that combination because it's just a nicer kind of combo of healing instead of having people overwrite each other with the healing and stuff. Here with a DPS, generally they'll have it all open so any DPS can join, or if people are more particular, they can just have it be, okay, I want 1 slot for only melee, and then 1 slot for range, and then physical range, and then 1 slot for magical range. And if you have a combination of like different jobs, dang, you know, I always have a hard time with the different jobs, roles, and things like what people call that, because people call it, like I said, they interchange everything. But if you have a magic range person and a physical range person and a melee person, like you have the 3 different categories of it, and then you also have the 2 different types of healer, whatever, and then you got the whatever tanks. Generally, you'll get a tiny bit of a buff from that, 1 player per job type thing. Also, not having duplicates of people playing. Like if I'm machinist and we have another machinist, like, or we have 3 machinists, or just like duplicates, then we are not going to get the 1 player per job buff. And so sometimes people will optimize like that. I'm not going to go into all of that because I think that's way too much information for new people to understand. And so we'll just leave it at this, okay? Typically, you want at least 2 tanks, 2 healers, and the rest DPS. It's as simple as that is enough to get started with raiding. Okay, let's not nitpick too much. Okay, remove role restrictions for all remaining openings. Okay, so if you have it as all, that means you're just gonna allow everybody. Anything is fine, and you're cool with that. So you'll see this more likely in like farming parties, where they're like, yeah, just come as whatever you want. Like this is gonna be really fast, so it doesn't matter what you're playing. So that's fine. You can't bring crafter or gatherers into the party though, if you're going to do combat fighting, and so just be aware of that. Other times people might create parties just to hang out like in the open world, and so this all is also nice because then people can join as a crafter but still be able to chat in the party chat, that kind of stuff. Okay, limit recurring to world server. So the world server thing might be very specific to like doing fates or hunts and things like that. Form a private party. Okay, so you can add whatever numbers here, and then the other people need to put that number in to join. Okay. Completion status. Select duty complete signifies that only players who have completed certain duty may join the party. Certain duty complete signifies the opposite. Okay, so duty complete means you have to have finished the thing. Duty incomplete is fine if you didn't finish it. Okay. And also, very specifically, they don't want you to have finished it. It's a whole thing with like the loot, endgame loot and stuff. Sometimes you don't want people to have finished it for that week because then you can't get loot. Like the treasure chest that comes up at the end might not show up if too many people have cleared for the week. It's a whole situation. I think I have a slide for it. I'll talk about it later. Average item level. So for some fights, you have to have certain item level to get into the fight. Like you saw for mine, like I couldn't, oh, hang on, wait, I'm stuck in this thing. Bro. I see here, average item level is like 635. No, what do I have? I'm at 630. I'm at 630, okay? So that's why I can't get into that one. And then, but here, like here, like for some of them, it'll be, okay, average item level needs to be 640 because they want you to have better gear to be able to do the fight. This one's 650. But then here it's loot. Okay, it's loot, duty complete, 1 player per job. And so they're optimizing for this one. They want everyone to have already finished the fight, and so they have a better chance of actually clearing the fight and getting the loot at the end, the treasure chest. And by having the average item level at 650 means that your gear has to be high enough. And the only way to get 650 gear is if you're doing the end game content right now. And that is a way to form a party full of people who it's kind of showing the level of competency that you're looking for in this party. Okay. And it might sound like it's gatekeeping a little bit, and in a way it is, so that people aren't wasting each other's time. Here we've got average item level 630, which is the minimum item level for this fight. So you have to have that to get into this fight. Practice, okay, so that means people are just here to practice the mechanics. 1 player per job. Okay, so that means 1 melee, 1 physical range, 1 magical range, at least, separating it. And then this stuff is just the mechanics that they're doing, or I mean the strategies they're using for certain mechanics. I have a slide for that. Dude, should we just go back to the slides to like explain most of this stuff? Does that make sense? Like the item level and stuff? So like here you've got someone who's practicing, okay? They're here to practice. This is the very beginning of it. This is the kind of stuff people want to do for certain mechanics. And then down here, the yellow version of the loot, they've already cleared it. They're already done. They're not here to practice. They're here to just get it done and get their stuff. Okay, and then there's all sorts of other barriers thing. Oh, duty complete, weekly reward unclaimed. And so that means you finish the fight, and for this week, you also haven't done this fight. Man, where's the slide? There's a lot of information. I feel like there's a lot of information. Let's go back. I was doing this. Let's just finish this up. I'll go back to the duty finder thing, and then we'll move on. This is, yeah, sorry, a 40-minute video. Okay, duty finder settings, minimum eye level, silence echo. Oh, this is the stuff that I mentioned over, like this little thing, silence echo thingy. This stuff, okay. That's here. Minimum eye level, silence echo. So typically you'll see the minimum eye level thing in older fights because people want to experience the stuff the way it was when it came out. And so, for example, here, if this fight we use the 9th circle as an example. The 9th circle, the minimum eye level is 630. Okay, and so, you know, in a year from now, when we have level 700 gear, 630 will be the minimum amount of gear you have to get into this fight. And so so a year from now, if you do minimum eye level in your party finder thing, and you say 630, that means it will drop all your item levels to 630 or so that you can do the fight as if you're doing it right now. Right now, as in this being the current content. If you run this content a year from now with level 700 item level gear, this will go down very quickly. This is equivalent to doing like the older stuff. You know, we've got like the older raids, like doing Thorn March. Okay, the item levels here are going to be a lot lower. Oh, this is still Endwalker stuff, but the item levels down here for like the older content, Realm Reborn, Heaven's Word, things like that, is a lot lower, and therefore, if you have item level 600 something, you're gonna be blasting through all those fights. But some people want to have the minimum item level thing so they can play it as if, yeah, it came out like now. To see how the developers made the content as difficult as whatever current time period. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's move on. I'm tired of this. Let's keep going. Okay, loot rules. Normal. So normal is the one where you can just have it be need, greed, or pass. And then greed only levels the playing field, and so everybody can only greed on the items, and so it's just one pool. Loot master is for the person who set up the party. They get to assign who gets what. So if you go into one of these farming parties and, you know, somebody is cat farm and somebody puts loot master, oh, okay, so here, this one. If somebody puts loot master on this, that means this person who's running this thing is going to be the one to assign who gets what materials that you get from the fight. And if you join and you don't realize that that's the case, then you might get frustrated. So it's important to look at these things, these little icons that people are using. Okay. Now, on the duty finder, once you've created your party under party finder, or you assemble your party outside of that, this is in the up here, this little icon, this little settings thing. Open duty finder settings. I know the mouse is kind of clipping over it, but yeah, click this. This is where you can use your unrestricted party. Okay, level synced, all this stuff. Minimum item level, this is what I'm saying. Dropping down your item level so it's as if it was new content. Silence echo. This helps people, but if you don't want the extra help, you can turn it off. Explorer mode, you can just go look around in dungeons and things like that. limited leveling roulette. This one is if you join a roulette, then it will drop the minimum dungeon or duty that you sign up for in the roulette will be whatever the lowest level of someone in your party. So if you have someone who's level 30 and then you have like people 30, 70, 70 or something, then the lowest level dungeon that it will put you in is level 30 instead of going prior to that, like a level 15 dungeon. So that way the level 30 person is kind of like, that's the range. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense? So this is basically to say if you're a higher level player, like you're in your 60, 70, 80, whatever, higher than that, and you're trying to level those levels, but you don't want to do level 50 content, you can click on this. If everyone in your party is over level 50, then you'll probably get 50 or higher content, like the lowest level person. I'm struggling because this is numbers and I struggle with numbers. Well, so if the lowest level is level 60 in your party, then you'll get level 60 content and higher, basically. Okay. This doesn't really have anything to do with rating, so let's move on. Join party, this is also just part of the duty roulette. Let's move on. I have a slide. I made slides for this. Man, I'm just getting lost in these things. But okay, oh, this is the loot stuff. Okay, this is where you assign these things when you enter the fight itself. Okay, you need greed pass. Okay, greed only. Okay. And then, yeah, loot master is the one who says who gets what. Usually loot master is used for farming parties, but also when you're raiding, if you're in a static, so like a pre-made group of people, and you have a raid leader who is like picking, like kind of organizing everything, they might use loot master just to keep it all structured and stuff. So they might use it here for that. I didn't end up mentioning this dimmed out thing right here. It's level sync, and that one, if you use that one, usually it's dimmed out right now because you have to use it in conjunction with the unrestricted party. So unrestricted party means you're doing it unsynced. Okay, so this is the difference between unsynced and unrestricted. Unrestricted means you can have less people than what the fight usually calls for. So if it's usually asking for 8 people to join, you can have less people than that. You can have 5 people join. But the difference in clicking the level sync then is you can have 5 people, but we'll put you at the level that is synced. Okay, and so you have some customizations there. That's why we have 2 different names here. And if we read this thing over here, when you're using unrestricted party player, and item levels will be synced. Okay, using unrestricted gear spirit bond, anyone so you'll experience. Okay, so that's minimum eye level. But the unrestricted party part is, I probably find it here. The power of editing. I have the power. Okay. Participate in duties without meeting the minimum party member requirements. Yeah, so that's what I said. It can call for 8 people, but you can do less people. And role requirements are ignored. Defeating enemies will yield no experience or items. Yeah, so you don't get experience if you're doing an unrestricted one. If you click the synced one though, then you will get experience, I believe. This is particularly used with blue mages when they need to be in unrestricted parties, and so role requirements are ignored because blue mages typically aren't allowed to join like most content with people, so they need to do a special thing to be able to go into stuff. And then level sync, if you're a blue mage, will help with gathering spells. If you run content syncing your level to the actual like fight, So if you're like a level 80 blue mage and you're trying to get a spell from a level 50 dungeon, if you go there as a level 80, then there's a chance you can get the spell, but it's not guaranteed. If you go as a level 50 blue mage to a level 50 dungeon by using the level sync, then it's 100% you will get the spell. So that's kind of that whole situation. Okay, I'm gonna edit that in. I'm out. Okay, let's go back to the slides. I need some guidance here. Literally. Okay, duty finder, we went over this extensively. Party finder, also extensively went over this, okay? I will go over, I'll probably swing back to this slide when I talk about mechanics and stuff. Duty settings, right, I just showed this. Okay, so you got synced, people will say things like synced, unsynced, unrestricted, minimum IO level, no echo, mine. Okay, oh yeah, if we go back to this one, see this fight, synced. So they have this icon in there. This is the no echo, and then this is the minimum item level. And so, oops. By having minimum item level and silence echo, they want it to be what we call mine. Mine stands for minimum item level, no echo. Okay, so in terms of level of difficulty, you've got minimum item level, no echo, mine, and then you got synced content, no echo. Okay, so that means it's not the minimum item level, but it has no echo, as in the echo will give you a buff every time you die. It will give you like more HP, more speed, more stuff in general to make the fight easier. And the more you die, the more echo you get, and so it will be easier as you continue. But some people don't like that, and so they'll turn the echo off. But they'll still be synced in that you'll be around the level, you'll have the same level as the fight calls for. So if it's a level 50 fight, then you'll be at level 50 and only have your abilities at level 50, but because it's not minimum item level, your gear can be maxed out to the level 50 gear. Okay, so like right now, let's see, okay, quickly only because I'm gonna lose my train of thought. So right now, I'm level 90, okay? I'm level 90, but my gear item level is 630, okay? So, oops, my gear item level is 630, and so the content that I can join right now is that like savage 9th circle, but I can't join the other ones because my item level is not high enough. But I'm level 90. If I change my gear, I think I probably have, yeah. So this one, the item level is 635. I don't, can you tell? How do I do this so that, man. I can't put my mouse over it. How about I do this? Like this? Okay. Let's see. If I do... Oh, maybe I should just talk about this. Bro. Wait, make a new slide? Just delete. Paste. Oops. Wait, not that. This. Okay, hang on. Technical difficulties. Hang on. This. This. Yeah! Okay. Wait. We'll put this here. What is this? Is this the hood? Okay, hang on. This, like this. Like this. Like this. Sure. It's like it was all planned. Okay, presenter mode. Yes. Okay. So over here, my current level is 90. Okay, you can't go any higher than 90 right now. My item level though is 630. But I have this other, oh, I chose the wrong one. Okay, hang on just a second. I can do this. We all just gotta take our time. Everything is fine. Just, it's okay. This, like this one, okay. And then go back to this one, like this. Huh? Okay. So, my item level is, my level, for my character, for this job. It's level 90. I'm wearing level 90 gear. The item level is 630. Okay. I have better gear in my inventory that is 635. And if I do more content, I can get level 640, or I can get level 650 kind of gear, okay? But when you're running content that is minimum eye level, all of my stuff is going to get booped down to 630. And so currently at level 90, I could have 650 gear, but if I'm doing content with people and we do minimum eye level, then it's going to go down to 630. Now, when it's not minimum eye level though, and it's just synced, then it will be whatever the highest gear item level I have, so 635, 650, whatever, and that will give me like more dexterity, more critical hit, more whatever the stats are of the gear itself. Okay, and so that's the difference between minimum eye level and just regular synced. Minimum eye level really puts you back like the freshest you can be for that particular content. Okay, but then the no echo part is the one that doesn't give you the extra bonus of HP and speed and all this stuff. Okay, and then so in order of difficulty, minimum eye level, no echo, synced, no echo, and then synced and echo. So it's still the item level of the content itself. If I'm doing level 50 content, I'm still level 50 gear. My item level might be at the higher end of level 50 gear, but that's no matter, right? Because I'm choosing to be synced instead of doing the minimum item level. And then I have the echo, and so every time I fail, it will be a little bit easier because I'll get buffs and stuff. Okay, so that's less difficult. This is around where normal content is, and then unsynced would be I'm doing level 50 content. I'm a level 90 character. This is going to be super easy for me to just go through. Okay, and this is unsynced content. Unsynced and unrestricted is similar. It's both called unrestricted here, but people, like players, will also call it just unsynced just because it's the opposite of synced. Yeah, usually that's for farming purposes or clearing content purposes. Like just quickly, they don't want to experience the fight as it was released, that kind of thing. Some people just want to do stuff for the story. They don't want to learn the entire fight, that kind of stuff, so they might do it in the less difficult way, doing unsynced. Unrestricted party will also allow you to go into content with less people. And if a fight usually calls for 8 people, but you are doing it unrestricted, you could have just 4 people, 5 people, but it's all like higher level people, and so they're like, we have enough damage power to do this, so it's all good. Okay, that was the whole thing. Since we're here, if this says, let's just go through this. Unique, okay, that means you can only have one of this. Untradeable means you can't trade it. This icon is, it's in my, let's see, I believe, yeah, okay, so this one is in your glamour chest. Oh no, sorry, it was in the other window. This is in your glamour chest, or no, there you go, armoire. This one is in your glamour chest, and this one is, I think that's the one. I answered this to someone like half a year ago. I don't remember. Leave a comment if you know. I don't want to look it up. Never mind, I'm gonna look it up. No. We're almost an hour in. I can't do this. We have to keep going. It's unrailing. My ADHD is definitely coming out now. This looks like the glamour dresser, but I'm like, are you sure that's my glamour dresser? I don't think it is. I thought that's my inventory. Let's see. Oh, wait. One of these. Hang on. Hold on. One of these has the thing. See? Some of them have the little plus icon on there. What's that? I can't hover over it when I'm like on the thing. Let's look at my other stuff. Okay. Oh, I think the middle one is just that it's glammed. It has glamour over it. Because I've glammed a lot of these things, but I've never used this one, for example. So I don't think it has glamour on it. Let's test it. So if I do this, if I equip, okay, I'm equipping this thing, and I click yes. Okay, so it's registered. Currently, it doesn't have the little glamour icon, the middle one. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about this little thing up here. This one. Okay, so it doesn't have that right now. And so, but I think I have my glamour plate set. So it does. So now it has a thing. So it is glamored. It has a little plus sign. Oh wait. Yeah. So it's glamored, but it's not on the thing. Do I just have extras of these in my glamour chest? Is that the situation? Wait, first off, let's switch my weapon back, because I'm gonna forget to do that later. We're going on a tangent. It's also kind of weird to see my HUD be so big. Let's check the glamour dresser. See, it looks like these two. It looks like the armor and the glamour dresser, right? Yeah, wait a minute. There's none of those in there. So what is this? Why does it have that? Okay, you know what? I'm totally gonna look it up. Hang on, bro. Final Fantasy items icon top right. Oh, hold up. This is from the official Square Enix UI guide, okay? Checking whether an item can be stored in armoire. Crest, glamour dresser. Okay, so it's not that it's in there, it's that it can be in there. Okay, so if it's the middle one is highlighted, that means you can put it in your glamour dresser. The last one, you can put it in the armoire. Crest, as in like, you can put a crest on it? Oh, you can put a crest on it. Yeah. Okay, so I can put a crest on these. How do you... Oh, shoot. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, it's weird using a mouse. How do you put a crest on it? Am I getting too sidetracked? Yeah. Okay, I think I'm getting too sidetracked. But now we know. Wow, okay. Yeah. I don't come across that very often. But here we are. Now we know. You can put this in your glamour dresser if you want. Okay. Moving on. This stuff is saying whether you can wear it, or like what jobs can wear it. Okay. This is my materia. If you're doing high-end raiding, then typically you want to add materia to your gear so that you get more stats and stuff. Condition means the if your gear is close to breaking or not. If it is at 0%, that means it's broken, and therefore you lose your stats and you get less health. It's a whole thing. So you want to be able to repair your gear. Spirit bond, if this gets to 100, then you can extract materia out of it. It doesn't take the material you meld to it, but you can take stuff of this. I probably have stuff I can meld. I probably have stuff that I can take out. Here. So this one, oh, it has, the spirit bond is 100, so I can extract materia from it, and then the spirit bond will go to 1%. There we go. And so I got some materia out of that. So you can do that for anything that is at 100. You go down to extract materia. Here. And then if you want to meld materia, well, you have to have a crafter leveled so that you can meld things. But you can also go hire like an NPC to meld things for you. Let's go take a look at that real quick. I'll also go repair my gear because my gear's not too bad. I think it was like 70 something, but I'll repair it just to show it. Okay, here I think there's a if you can't meld your own materia, and you can like ask somebody in the game, like if you have friends or like no raid people, things like that, or some people advertise they can meld materia, that's fine. Or you can talk to these NPCs and they can meld materia for you. Sure. Let me just get some cheap thingy. Okay, see here, got this. I don't have any materia I can meld to that. So material 2 here. I'm gonna just pick something and then tell them I want to add this to it. It's a whole situation. I'm sure there's YouTube videos online that explain all that stuff way better than I can, and so go look for those. Okay, but here, if you can't repair your own gear, which is its own thing too, you can go get an NPC to repair your gear. Here it shows the condition of all my gear and stuff, and I can click on repair. This is how much it will cost over here. How much it will cost to repair everything. I'm fine with that. Okay. If you get your gear repaired by a player though, it can be a bit more beneficial. So your condition, like, because I just got my gear repaired, it got to 100 by the NPC, but if you get repaired by another player, they can give you whatever you had it at plus 100. And so if I had someone repair mine at 72%, then I would have 172%. So then my gear will last even longer. So that's a benefit of getting help from other players in the game. Okay, let's move on from this gear stuff. I think I've talked about it extensively. Let's move on. The HUD. Okay, so you can customize a bunch of different things in your HUD to make rating a little bit easier. The cast bar, increase size, move things around. Okay, so let's just go back to here and we can take a look at stuff. Okay, I'm gonna change this back so that it looks like what I generally see, and then change this to normal. Okay, so my HUD generally is like this. I usually put things away so that when I'm recording, also when I'm rating, I don't really have to see it. But this is my general HUD. Okay, if you want to go to your HUD settings, you go all the way to system, HUD layout. This can seem a little overwhelming, and yeah, it kind of is, but there's a few different things. You have 4 different layouts. So this is my first one. My second one, see how it hid the things on the side? The second one is what I prefer when I'm running content and recording things. The first one I set up so that I could just have my emotes and all these things. Okay, I just duplicated this. Fourth one, this is probably more similar to what most people are used to. This is the default setup. Okay, so like you got stuff here. Let me show. Let's go to central shroud. There are a few things that you definitely want to consider if you're going to get into rating. Things like being able to know where the enemy cast bar is, being able to know where your buffs and debuffs are. Like, that's all important stuff. So I'm just gonna go find a Morble real quick. Are they over here? No, it's too far. Where are they at? Hey, here we go. Ah, I'm too strong. I killed it. Let's see. I want it to put poison on me. Let's see. Do we have anything that's lower level? Okay. There. Okay. So let's see if it will. Here, bad breath. Okay, so this up here, bad breath, that cast bar is something you're gonna have to take a look at a lot. And also these buffs, you're gonna have to notice them a lot, okay, when you're raiding. And if it's way too small for you, you gotta get yourself situated. Hang on, let me take care of this now so I don't just die here. Okay, so now I'm gonna change my HUD. So see the little icons, like that might have been difficult to notice. I'll change my HUD back to this one and let you look at my friends. Where are you? Oh, here. Careful, careful. Okay. So we'll take a look at this corner up here. If you've watched my other videos, you might have already seen this stuff. Okay, so I have all my buffs and debuffs over here instead of on top up here because I prefer I prefer to see it all kind of in the party list area. See, so I have my buffs up here and my debuffs right underneath it, instead of all up in front of, on top of the screen. Like, it's harder for me to see that stuff. And then in terms of the cast bar, I can see this fine. Like, I'm used to this, but some people will change it up so that, here, we'll do this one. Target bar, I'll change this. I'll make it huge. Look at this. So you can see, now it's like huge. now it's like, I can really see this now. You know what I'm saying? So some people will customize stuff like that. Like, you can make your buffs and debuffs bigger too. Let's see. Play, status effects. Here. Element size. Oh, that's transparency. Element size, I'll make it even bigger. I'll go through it one. Look, see, I can see, definitely see the cast bar a lot bigger there. Oh, that didn't make it any bigger. Let's see. Oh, I put enhancements bigger. Okay. There, see, I put the enhancement bigger, so it's way bigger than the debuffs. Enhancements is going to be your buffs, so things that are good for you. It points upwards. Okay, bad breath. And enfeeblements are going to be the ones that are bad for you. The arrow points downwards. All of these can be assuned because they have the white bar above them. These are things that I've mentioned in my other guides and things like that. And I will continue to mention in future videos that I make. So I'm trying not to be too redundant. But yeah, here. So if you want to change one of the things, you would click on the thing, and then, or you can like go find it on this list, and you click UI element settings, and you can change a few things. It's kind of confusing in some ways because some of them look different. Like this UI elements thing looks a little different than if I click the target bar. It looks a little, trust me, it's a little different. All of them are a little different from each other, and it's just, it can be a whole mess to deal with this. So I recommend taking some time out to like just look over all of this so that you can customize it however you want. You can change the transparency. Here. See, so it's a little bit more transparent if you just like it, if you like it like that, you know. Clip bar, enfeeblements, element size. Let me change this to this. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot here, and there I just made it way bigger. Justified left, or justified to the right side over there. I'm not the best at dealing with UI. I usually stick to whatever default UI, and I just adjusted just a few little things, and then I stick with that. But you can do a lot here, okay? Like, if you don't like it there, you can put it right here. Like, some people do it like this. It's all up in your face. It's like right there, right under your character. So instead of looking up to the top, you just look at your character, and you can see the, we'll see when it does bad breath again. Okay, so I can see the cast bar right in front of my face. And so some people like rating like that. Some people like rating like this, where there's nothing. So do what you gotta do. There's so many settings in here for stuff. So many different things you can do to make things a little bit easier for you. Like this bar, I usually like this on the bottom. Just because I don't like things up here. But some people, yeah, some people will just move like every single thing on the side, you know, party list on the side, enemy list on the side, status enfeeblements like over here, and then the boss stuff just over here, and this stuff, like, I don't even want to see that, you know, like, they might do something like this, you know, whatever people do. Do that to your heart's content. I know that there are other people who have more in-depth information and guides on this, so go find those, and have better recommendations on how to set things up, depending on whatever common preferences most people have, I don't know, things like that. I just don't fuss with it as much because I am my own person with my own likes, dislikes, and stuff. Okay, so that's that. Let's go back to this. So that's what you can do with the HUD. Okay, lots of things you can do with the HUD. Party tools. Let's go get away from this stuff. I'll go back to Oda and then kind of get things situated. I think I should take a break because it's been a bit and I'm gonna have to edit this anyway. Okay, so I will go chill. Let me just go back to this place. I'm just running. I'm just running into hold on. And I will be back to add more after I take a break. Bye. Hello, I'm back. I had a snack and sorted out some mild existential crisis stuff. So I was like, why am I making these? Why am I trying to start a new YouTube channel while I'm like in the middle of school? It's okay. It's all good. I think I need to take a break. And man, I hope y'all are taking breaks while you watch my long videos. This is a lot. Okay, but let's continue now that I've got a bit more of a balance here. Party tools. Okay, here we have a bunch of waymarkers that we use in the game to help with raids and stuff in general, like to help people orientate themselves and know where to go. I'll show that in the game footage. And signs are things you will use to also help aid the raid. Okay, I'll also show that. Ready check. People do a ready check to indicate whether... Okay, so if you want to start a ready check, you click on it in the game. Here. It's gonna turn on. Okay. Over here in party, this is where you're gonna get all these things. You got signs, waymarkers, ready check here. I can't use it right now because I'm not in a party, but that's what this stuff over here is. Okay. If somebody sets a ready check, then you'll get this pop-up. You'll get this pop-up that then asks if you're ready, and you can say yes, hold, or no. If you say yes, then you'll have a number up here in the ready part. If you hit no, it'll be not ready. If you click hold, then you got some time to kind of wait before you give an answer. Okay, so there's that. Countdown, it will determine when you do, when the main tank will pull, ideally. And so let's just take a look at some of the waymarkers here. Switch over to the game. Do going here. Yeah, this one. Oh, actually, you know what? I said you know what, and then I clicked this thing where I didn't want to. I can go to the bowl of embers because I can bring a party there. Let's go do that because that's more likely the raid setting that we're going to be in when we go raiding here. So duty support, bold inverse. Yep. So for the waymarkers, for like higher end content, we use them in a few different ways. Sometimes people will put the waymarkers down. Okay, so lots of fun on here. So go to party, waymarkers. When you click on one, you get this little icon right here. Okay, so like I can put A over there to indicate that's north. Let's say there. I'm on controller, so it's a little different for me to pop these down. Like some people can just use their mouse and stuff, but here, guesstimating. Okay, so sometimes people might put it like that to make it a little easier for the party to know which way's north, south, west, east, and stuff. Other times they might, if you click this third one, this one here, you can clear all of them. Other times people might do like this, like closer to the boss. Okay, to give people positions on where to go, and then sometimes they'll do corners. I know it's a circle, so it's kind of not really a thing, but think of it as a square. Okay, so you might get orientations like this, like the corners get the numbers or something, and the inside kind of diamond gets a situation. So tanks might stand at A, you know, healers might be B and C. It really depends on the fight, and it depends on how people want to organize things. And I'll go over that when we get to the strategies area. Okay, but here, if you want to add other things, we have signs. Okay, this part, the signs over here. Signs. So you can put, these do have little names over them. These first few are target to attack and stuff, and then target to bind, target to ignore. So they mean a few different things. So if the boss is here, let's say I don't want to attack, I don't want people to attack the boss, I might put that. But not everybody reads these the same way, because sometimes, okay. Oh, if you want to remove it, you can put the same one on them to toggle it on and off. Sometimes, like, you'll see pretend that we just want to know who the healers are. Pretend the thaumaturge is a healer. Like if this was an 8-person group, then we know, okay, we got healer 1, healer 2, but then I also want to know who the tanks are. So people might use this one for the main tank, and then for me, let's pretend I'm the other tank. They might do it like this. So you might say like that, and technically, yeah, you don't want to attack your party members anyway, so that might make sense. But like something I had to learn is to not be too rigid about how this is labeled target to ignore, because sometimes you do want to go find number 2 red cross out, okay, like the off tank. You might want to go look for them. Other times you might use these markers instead for the tanks, or you know, sometimes I might use the healers for these markers like that and switch it up instead and have, you know, it really depends on the party how people use these signs and markers. They're tools to help you, and if you don't understand how people are using something in a particular fight, then just ask. And if people like make it seem silly, then that you're asking, then just let them know that you're new. And if they're still being kind of mean about it, then that's their problem. It's still kind of your problem because you have to be there with them, but like, they're just being mean. Most people are generally really helpful when explaining these types of things. Okay, in the waymarker area, there's this thing, like you can open and close it. I have a lot of different slots here that I've saved for different fights and stuff, and so like here I'll delete this, and then I have these waymarkers out right now. The waymarkers are these ABC 1, 2, 3 thing. The signs that I just did are these ones that go above players or items or things in the area that you can target. Okay, it's like in this Ifrit fight, for example, there's like the nails that drop down, so I can tag those. Or maybe I'll just show that. But let me finish this. So here you can save the waymarkers. Okay, so I'll clear them out, and I'm like, oh no, I got rid of them, but I can actually click this and they'll come back up. So that's useful. And you can also just go over, hover over one of them. Let's see. Sure, I don't think I need all this. So I can overwrite it. So now I have the bowl of embers here. Okay, or like, here, I'll move this one to here. Sure, why not? Okay, so this one is there. Oh wait, I didn't save it. Okay, see, I move this over here. I'll overwrite this one. So when I click that one, B is over there. When I click the other one that I saved, B moves back over there. And so this can be useful if like you play with different people, or there are different mechanics that you want to set up for, like during prog and stuff. By prog, I mean making progress through the fight. Like if there's certain tricky mechanics that people aren't really understanding, then just having like, okay, you guys, we're just gonna do the fight until this part, and make sure you're going to A for if you're blah blah blah, and if you're group 2, go to B, and then once you get the hang of that, then you can change the waymarkers to be this again, or whatever. The thing is, you can only set up the waymarkers when you're out of combat, so basically at the beginning of the fight. But some fights have 2 phases, and so you can set it up at the second part of the phase. Usually you have to die first at the second phase before you can set it up, so then you're not in combat. But yeah, so that's that. So let me just attack the boss, and I can show what it would be like to put these markers on. So I'll mark him as 1 to attack, and so you can see up here he has the one in the target bar, and then also on him he has the target bar. He has the target to attack thingy, so I know that I should do that first. Attack him first. Okay, and then a nail should come up soon. My allergies are picking up. Oh, I think usually in my raids you don't hear me like clicking, huh? I play on controller, so you can probably hear me clicking a lot. Okay. Come on, where's the nail? Probably could have chosen a different fight. It's fine, we're committed. Here, let's say like, say the conjurer has like a buff or debuff on them. I could be like, oh, don't go to the conjurer. Oh, here we go. Okay, look at Ifrit. I'm gonna mark the nail this time. So the nail is what I want to attack. Okay, I'll ignore Ifrit because I removed the number 1 to the nail instead. Okay, and then if people are struggling, this is a common thing. I could put a triangle on my head, and that is pretty common for people to do in a fight if other people don't know where to go. Someone will have the triangle, and they call it the danger Dorito because it looks like a Dorito chip, Dorito chips or triangles. And you would just follow this person usually. So if it shows up, usually it means this person is trying to say just follow me. However, sometimes people will use the triangle or square or circles to indicate other things, like this is healer 1, this is healer. So again, it really depends on the type of people you're playing with and how they describe the things. Okay, so maybe at this point I'm like, never mind, I don't know the rest of the fight, don't follow me, you know, so I might take it off. So the signs above your head and above other things you can take off during the fight, but the way markers you cannot. See, unable to execute command during combat. So just be aware of that. I've definitely had fights where people were like moving way markers around the stage to kind of just get to explaining things, but then forget to put back the markers, and then so you'll have like just random markers all over the place, and then you'll start the fight like that, and it's like, wait, where am I supposed to go? And so usually people will reset the fight at that point, or they'll just keep going to see how far they can go. So if you are someone who relies on the markers when you're fighting, then just be aware of, make sure that you are saving the markers for yourself just in case no one else saved them, and then like saying in party chat or whatever chat that, hey, we gotta put the markers up. Okay. Oh, I didn't do the countdown, but this is what the countdown looks like. Also in party, okay, go down to countdown, and you can change how long you want the countdown to be or not. Fast or if you have a longer countdown, you need more seconds in there. If you want a fast countdown, you can go like this. So then it gives people time to get ready for stuff. For some jobs, they might need more time to get themselves situated, so you could just ask how long for a countdown. Usually like 8 seconds is the default, I think, so that's like enough time. So some people need to do like this and like this and like this and whatever, like for all their things. Like they might start like, I don't know, I don't remember the openers for these things, but an opener would be like, okay, around this amount of seconds I'm gonna do this and like do this and add this and then like get myself situated, and then I'm gonna hit the boss, you know. So that wasn't a legit example, because I don't know the rotation and opener for these things, but like for machinists, I know this one, like you know, do a countdown, and then like around 4 seconds I'll do my this thingy, and then I'll pop a tincture, which I'll explain, and then I'll hit the boss. So it really depends, and I do have a slide on like that stuff, like talking about openers and rotations and things like that. So let's go back here to the slides and move on. Did that change the thing? It probably did. It should be fine. Derailed already. Okay, let's move on. Macros. Okay, so a macro is going to be simplifying a bunch of commands into one button, a single instruction that expands automatically into a set of instructions to perform a particular task. So some people have like MMO mice, like a mouse for the controller, or for the computer, and they'll click a certain button and it'll do a certain thing. On the keyboard, you can also set a macro to a certain key. So you just click one key and it'll do a sequence of stuff. You can make your own macros to make things a little easier. But then macros also mean other things, like this thing over here. So we'll talk about in the game macros first. So here, show this. Go down to user macros. Okay. And I think let me go into a instance so I can use some of this stuff. you can make macros outside, but usually I want to use like the party. People will send things to the party chat, but when I'm just out here by myself, I can't use the party chat. So let me move this out of the way, and then you can see the party thing. Let's see if I can, let me make this bigger. Party chat, party window, chat prompt, font size, 36. Oh, no. Huh? Okay, no, not that. Let's see, the HUD, probably. Where's the chat box? Let's see. I'm just trying to make the chat box a bit bigger. Here we go. Is that big enough? Okay, cool. So I'm going to show the user macros. Okay, see, so I've got this one that I made. So if we're in the middle of a fight and I want to say, hey, we need to spread out. Oh, wait, let me make this even bigger. I always get it mixed up. Which one's in character configuration and which one is in system configuration? There's just a lot you can customize here. Okay, this kind of looks like a hot mess, but we're focusing on the chat box, okay? And then we're also focusing on this macro window. And so here, I can make a thing. And when I click this one button, right, I'll execute it. And now it says spread. And so over here, this is my macro making area. I'll make a new one. I'll choose an icon. You can choose, there's all these icons, but you can also, like, if you want to get fancy, choose one of these skill icons or items. You have to go look them up, but to be basic, I'm just going to choose a basic one. Okay, like this. I'll call this stack together, and I will do /p for party, stack together, and then I'll add a little sound, which is one of these, and these are little text commands you can look up. Okay, and so now when I execute this, it will go into the box. So instead of me having to type it, I just click that. And so if I move this here, you know, I could be like running around doing the fight, and then I'm like, oh shoot, we need to stack together, you guys. So I'm gonna click the one thing. Okay, don't really want to spam this too much unless your party's having issues, but yeah, so with that I can put all of that in one situation, in one button, instead of taking the time to type all this out. Hey, we're I was gonna write a whole paragraph on something. Let's see, what can I write? Stack together. Okay, sure. Okay, so I have it say like all this stuff. Let me just clear that up. Okay, so we're doing stuff, and then a mechanic happens, and I notice it, and I don't have time to type spread out because, you know, I play on controller, for example, or I'm busy doing other things. So having one button to just quickly say, hey, stack together, or spread, or whatever, You know, like I can put this one over here. So I'll be like, okay, hey, spread, or hey, stack together, that kind of stuff. So you can assign all those things. Additionally, we've got, you can have individual ones and shared ones. Shared ones are like if you have multiple characters, your different alts and stuff will all share these ones, and then this is just for your one character. I've got a few different things here, like this for example, which was in the slides. The thing in the bottom there, the slides. For some parties, for some raid groups, they will utilize these macros, okay? It's still one button, and they'll paste this entire thing. I know this looks chaotic, it's because I made it, the chat box, super big. And so this in itself is called a macro also. It's one button to press on the thing, but very specific to raiding. It's a list of instructions, which still goes along with the definition of what a macro is. It's a list of instructions. And I'll go over how to read this in a bit. I have a area for that. Okay, so when we learn about positioning and things like that. So that's what user macros will be if you're doing this type of stuff. Okay, and if you want, you can go to this link here. Oops. And it will have, let's see. I didn't even make it a hyperlink. If we go to this, then it has a list of different like commands and stuff that you can use, so you can play around with all that to figure out whatever macro stuff you want to make. Okay? Okay. So, moving on. Party setup. So here, let me go back to the game and fix some stuff here, just so I can go show that. Dun, dun. Okay. Just a moment. We're switching. We'll go back to the bowl of embers here, just so you can watch, so you can feel like you're a part of the place. Oh, maybe we'll go to the navel, the howling eye. Sure. Okay, so here. Move this back down here. So over here, usually in NA as in like Aether, Crystal, Dynamis, Primal data centers, this is how most people will set up their raids. They'll drop a box down and people will pick their clock spots. A clock spot is, I know this is a square, but most people will use a square for this to start. A clock spot, it would be, this is 12, like, you know, 1, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 2, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Sorry, did I say 2, 4? I'm bad at numbers, but you know, a clock, you know, it goes around in a circle. Like, this is 12, 3, 6, 9 o'clock, okay? Like that. And so you'll pick your spots, and if you know what cardinal and intercardinal means, there will be north, south, west, east, and we got northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast. So people will stand around this square to pick their clock spot, which is basically just their position around a general like space. Okay. So here in this picture, we've got a circle. If that's a little bit easier to understand, that it's like a circular thing, but the square is what most people will use because it's a little bit easier to understand the cardinal and intercardinal spaces. So what we do with the clock spots is we will use those for specific mechanics. So let's say we have to all run away from the middle. So that means this person, the Scion Marauder, will run north. And since I'm back here in the south, I will run south. The Conjurer happens to be in this southeast corner. So they're going to run diagonal this way. Okay? And so we will all spread out from the middle, but we go in particular directions. So that will help kind of coordinate certain things. Alright, so that's what the clock spots are. Light party healer stacks. So here, I was just in here with the NPCs, but you'll generally, for 8-person fights and stuff, you will split up into 2 parties, 2 light parties. So that's 4 people each. And so you'll have 4 people on number 1 and 4 people on number 2. And you just walk your character over there to indicate that. Okay, like this. Well, in this one, we had 1, 2, but then we also did 3, 4 down here. So this configuration is now showing we're splitting up even more. We're getting pairs. And so we had 2 people here, 2 people here, 2 people here, 2 people here. There is a general, like, way that people generally like to pair up and stuff. So in one group, you'll have 1 tank, 1 healer, 2 DPS. The other one, 1 tank, 1 healer, 2 DPS. Okay? So that's generally how most people do it. But if there are customizations, like group 1 will have 1 tank and 3 DPS, and 2 healers will be in group 2, or something like that. Like, people can do different things to optimize for different reasons, and so it really depends on your group what you end up doing. Okay, so if you're unsure, just ask. Okay, and also see, these are the signs I was talking about before. In this picture, the tanks, 1 tank is north, 1 tank is south. They have this icon to indicate who's the main tank, who's the second one. And then the healers have these icons to indicate this is for healer 1, group 1, healer group 2. So then if we had the second box over here, healer 2 would go over there, and then we'd have some people spread over there too. Usually everyone on the east side would go over there, and then the off tank will also go to group 2. And then the main tank, healer 1, and then the DPS in the northwest corner and DPS in southwest corner will be group 1. Okay. In this picture, I just have, see, they use these markers to show who the healers are instead. And so again, people will do all sorts of different things. So it really just depends on who you are playing with and what they decide to do. We'll go back here and just show this real quick. So we'll get into the instance of the fight, right? And typically someone will drop a waymarker down. Sometimes it'll be the circle, but usually people will use the square one instead. So this one, okay? So we will stand around this. Okay, the NPCs they're not, they're just following me in a predetermined way. But so tanks are usually up here in the north. Off tank is usually back here in the south. Healer 1 is usually west. Healer 2 is usually east. And then depending on the fight, usually you'll have melee 1, like 1 melee here, and then another melee here. And then you'll have your range players up here and up here. You want the melee players in the back usually so that they can do their positionals and stuff like that. But sometimes it's switched up. Sometimes melee are up in the front, range are in the back. It really depends. Again, every fight is going to be different, but just know that this is generally how people do things. And if you need more specific instructions, you can always ask on a fight-by-fight basis. Okay, so after we get that situated, then we'll pop down another one, and then people for group 2 will go over here, and then group 1 will stay over here. Okay, and then if the fight calls for it, you can also pop down some extra ones, and you'll split up in pairs. So usually if you're in group 2 already for 4 people, then 2 people from group 2 will go to this corner, and then on this side on group 1, 2 people from group 1 will just take this corner like that, just so it can stay a little bit organized. Okay, so that's how the party setup usually happens for that. Now, let me get out of here. Oh wait, I need to go into the thing so that I can use my macro. Okay, let me go back. I'm so organized. Sometimes we YOLO swag everything. Let's go to the navel this time. I made the whole slide. This is like the most organized I'm gonna be. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so here we'll switch over to how EU does it. I've gone raiding in European servers, and so they do a little different there. Instead of dropping a marker down on the ground, typically people will call out their spot in the party chat. Okay, so in this example I said all of them, but you would just say one of them, which one you prefer to be. So over here, see how this is basically it's a rectangle, but it's similar to this square shape, right? And so main tank is up north, okay? Off tank is south, down here, okay? Healer 1 is west, here. Healer 2 is east, right here. R1 is range 1, is northwest. R2, northeast. M1 is melee 1, okay, southwest. Melee 2 is southeast. And so when you call out what spot you want, then you are assigned that categorization. This is going to be your name, basically, your role, your job. It's not the same as, like, you know, machinist or black mage. It's just whether I'm going to be R1 or R2 is what's important for this party setup. So if I'm R1, then that means I go into this corner, but also because I'm 1, I'm part of group 1. So it all stacks together, okay? So in this one here, instead of putting the two things down, it just shows it already. Group 1 stacks on this side, the west side. Group 2 stacks on the east side. And this little indicator is the center, usually the boss. Okay? For this one, topaz stack, that's the particular mechanic. The next one, the thing under here is saying how we're going to handle that. Group 1 is going to go north or east. Group 2 is going to go south or west. And so they very specifically lay it all out. In EU, they use these macros. They paste these things out so that everyone is clear on what strategies they're using for the fight. Okay, for this is another mechanic, the puddles. Okay, so this means the main tank and the off tank are going to go north, or main tank and off tank are going to go west. Okay, it's dependent on what variation of the puddles mechanic happens. Melee 1, melee 2 will go south or east. Okay, RH1, that means range 1 or healer 1 will go into this corner or this corner to prioritize. And then over here, RH2 is range 2 and healer 2, this corner and this corner to prioritize. So this is how you read these types of things. There's a lot of different ways people make macros and stuff, but once you see enough of them, you'll get the gist of what they're trying to say. Usually there's going to be a spread situation where the group stacks are, the light party ones, and then individual places people need to go for very specific mechanics. and things like that. Okay, like here in this other mechanic, it's saying main tank and off tank, so both tanks are going to go north. The healer and range for the first group are going to go to the west. Healer and range for the second group go to here. Melees stay together. People do this in so many different ways. Like for this one mechanic, you could have it be split up, like both range are over here, both healers are over here, melee here, tanks, like they split up by roles. But in this particular fight, for this particular macro instruction that people are using, they say the range and healer pair up together, not the range and range. So you have to pay attention. If you if you use a strategy that other people aren't doing in the fight and it causes issues, people will usually say things like follow the macro. So you gotta go ask for the macro again and like go figure out like, oh, actually I was supposed to stack over here with the healer when usually I'm used to stacking over here with the other range. And so people just do things very differently. Okay, every data center does things differently. Like, you know, North American data centers do it like this, European data centers do it like this, Japanese data centers probably do it differently too. And then also every individual group will do things differently. I might have this macro, but someone else might have some other macro. You know, they might have instructions setting up differently. Melee might be in the front, range might be in the back. There's so many different variations, and that's partly what makes raiding a little bit difficult. Just the people problems, that getting on the same page as everybody else, communication problems. So understanding that this is what you're likely gonna see, but being flexible is the way. This is the way. Okay. So that's the EU stuff. Let me show a few different things. Like, right, so I've got like this macro, right, which is the one we just saw, and then okay. See, there's also this like little different. Like this one, it combines it, so group 1 goes west, group 2 goes east. Like, they just split up like that. And then these are the other mechanics and stuff. And these are also things that people will write in the the party finders themselves. Okay, let me, yeah. So these are just, there's a lot of different types of macro like mechanics and strategies people use. And over here, remember in this party finder thing, people will say like the different strategies here. Like, so 1-3 enum, 2-4 AoE. Okay, so that here, enum, okay, enum pairs, tanks and healers move clockwise. Okay. Oh, wait. So we have that, and then we also have the tangle. So the tangle one is the enum whatever thing people are talking about in the party finder one too. Stacks are 1 and 3, AoEs 2 and 4. So over here, 1-3 is the enumerations, 2-4 is the AoE. So that matches with this little macro thingy that I have here. Okay, so sometimes people will put the mechanics into their party finder thing, and sometimes, like especially in like EU, they will throw a macro down so you can read it from there. When picking party finders, like if you prefer more structure, then you might want to pick a party finder that has all the strategies you're using, so you can prepare yourself a little bit more for that. But if you are pretty confident about just adjusting to things, then you can go in there and ask them after the fact. Because sometimes you have to learn all the different strategies if you want to play with Party Finder, because everybody does all sorts of things, and so you end up learning all the strategies. and then you have to mix and match them, like in real time. It's a whole situation, okay? This is partly also why rating is difficult, because it's all over the place. Not everything is super, like I think I have a slide that says that, like, the fights themselves are scripted, but it's just the people that make it varied, okay? So that's macros, okay? Great. And then party setup, okay, we talked about that and that. Okay, let's talk about loot. I gotta get out of here or else it's gonna kick me out. Okay, we went over this actually. Need, greed, and pass, and the loot master thing. Loot master is the one where the person who made the party gets to assign who gets what. Glam, mount, triple trap farming. So that's the one where if the party finder says that their farm, like Doge farm, so they're farming for a dog, the dog mount, okay? So if they say that, then that means they expect you to know the fight. They're probably going to go unsynced, and so the fight will go faster because they'll have higher gear and things like that. And they're there for particular things. Glam farming means they just want the gear for the outfit. Some people will call it glam farming. Some people might just say gear farming. It's all kind of similar. Unlock extreme savage ultimate. You have to do certain fights to unlock harder fights, and so people might want to go run the content to unlock it. Like, these are just things people might say in the party finder chat when they're trying to make a group together. Current tier, locked loot. Okay, so this is it's a whole thing. Whatever the current tier is, the most difficult savage content, or ultimate content, really, it will have the best gear in the game at the moment. And whatever that is, it's going to be locked. And so that means you can only get a certain amount of it per week. And so if I run one of the current savage stuff and I clear it and I roll need, greed, and stuff, and I happen to win a piece, I can only get one piece of that per week. And then I have to go back the next week after a reset. And a reset is usually on Tuesday. And then I have to do the entire fight again to roll to possibly get it. And then I can get another piece. And so that's what, like, the locked loot situation is. And usually the locked loot is going to be the best in slot. Best in slot meaning out of all my gear, the slot of gear, like the headpiece, the chest piece, the arm, the leg, foot, where the jewelry, those slots of gear, I want the best in that, which is going to be the current stuff. And so people call it best in slot of gear, or BIS. They abbreviate it like that. Okay, so that's the loot situation. Food for raiding. If you eat raiding food, then you'll get like more vitality, you'll get other bonus stats and things like that. You can stack 2 things of food up so it lasts for an hour. If you have like FC buffs or other like grand company things, it can extend it so your food can last like an hour and a half, because food can get expensive because you have to buy it from people like off the market board or other places. And like, I'm not sure if NPCs don't necessarily always sell high quality stuff, but the high quality food and just things in general will give you just a little bit more than the normal quality. The little sparkles will indicate if it's a high quality item or not. Okay, and so I've got like this special food here, and it's not the current best food, but it's still pretty high up there. And so I'll eat that when I go raiding. And even if you don't have raiding food to give you like super good stats, you can just eat anything and it will give you a bit more health. Vitality is your health. And so I always have some extra random stuff. Usually people carry boiled eggs just to get a little bit more vitality. Or if you're like leveling things,
Usually people aren't doing raids to level things, but yeah, having boiled eggs in your inventory is always kind of nice, or just some basic food just to get a little bit of extra health, because like there definitely have been times where I would end up with just like a sliver of health left, and that was thanks to my food. It kept me alive, so that's always nice. Okay, so it's nice to have raid food. Pots, they stand for potions. They started out as potions, so sometimes people think of potions as just like the health potions to increase your health, but then there's also strength potions, dexterity potions, magic potions, and things like that. And the higher end stuff, the nicer looking stuff, they're called tinctures, and so they will give you a boost in like damage or magic and things like that. And so you can go find all the names of those and go read them and figure out what would do best for your job, class, character. Okay, that's a whole situation. I'm sure there are many other raid guide maker people who really enjoy getting into the numbers of like the pots, the food, the loot, and all that stuff. I am not very good at numbers, and so I'm not gonna try to get all up in that. So go find that if you're super interested in like min-maxing all of this stuff. Poetics is the tomestones in general is going to be the currency for stuff. Poetics you must be familiar with already if you have done a decent amount of content. You can trade this stuff in for gear or other items. The end game currency will be here. The bottom one is going to be the most, like the newest stuff, and you're locked to how much you can get. So this week I got 33 out of 450 that I can get per week. And so after I get 450 of them this week, I can't get any more. And so that's kind of similar to this whole current tier locked loot situation, because you can turn in this currency to get the current loot, the current gear, and things like that. And so they're trying to stagger it out so you don't like do the fights too easily. This one in the middle is like the previous tier's currency, so you can still get some of that and get some of the other previous tiers items, gear and items and things like that. Okay, a lot of people do hunts, like the hunt train stuff that I mentioned before in the party finder, where they'll go around killing like A rank, S rank things, monsters around the world, so that they can get more of these currency stuff, so then they can turn it in for better loot, for better gear and other items. Gear, we went through that extensively before. Make sure you're repairing your gear. The item level, yeah, we went over that. How you can be the same level of your class. I'm a level 90, but the eye level can change from 630 to like 650, and you know, stagger that back down to like all the other levels. From like level 50 gear will be like, I've got eye level like 100 to blah 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 blah. Okay, so make sure you're keeping track of that if you're doing end game stuff, because you might be locked out of certain parties if you don't have the appropriate item level. Melding, yeah, we talked about that. With materia, you can add materia to your gear, or you can also remove materia if your spirit bond is at 100%. So you can get materia to then add to other gear. Okay. Yeah. For the item level here, if you're doing older content, typically it doesn't matter as much. If you have, if you're gonna do things minimum eye level, if you're already above the item level of whatever you're gonna do, and you do minimum item level, then you'll just be good. Like, as long as you're wearing at least the minimum item level for that content, and you're gonna do minimum eye level as a setting, then you're good. If you have anything higher than that, it will just change your item level for you to the minimum eye level, and you're fine. Okay, that might not have made sense. It made sense in my head. So if you have questions, just let me know. moving on. Okay, know your job. So this is something that people might say a lot in many guides, and also like in recruitment areas and stuff. They say, yeah, you can be fresh, but just know your job. And typically that means know how to play what you're going to go play as. So if I'm going to go play as a machinist, it's good for me to know what my 1 2 3 combo is, and then also some of my nifty little like aids, like I can use this skill to help the entire party have, you know, a bit of a defensive thing. I can use this skill so that I leave a damage over time thing on the boss, kind of thing. Like, people just want you to know basically how they work, how your job works, okay? So like if I decide, oh, I'm gonna go play as healer, and I don't know how to heal anybody, then I don't know my job, okay? Unless I'm going in fresh and saying I'm learning how to play healer, that's a different story. But if people are putting in their listings, please know your job, then they're expecting you to know at least the minimum amount to like do your job, okay? Like doing damage. Or as tank, for example, know that you need to position the boss facing north. You need to do tank swaps here and there, or like know how to do tank swaps and stuff like that. If you are melee, knowing your positionals and doing things like that, okay? And the melds, this is back to like the materia stuff. Are you using the correct materia for your job? Like tank might, or tank and DPS might prefer more critical hit melds for their materia, like to get a stat boost, whereas magic users might want more, you know, like intelligence so that their magic damage does more, something, things like that. So you just take a look at all these things, okay? This website, The Balance, has a lot of resources. This is the main kind of place that people go to understand how to play these jobs and things. So here I just click through here. I've got learning how to level, basic guides, and so an opener is going to be something that people are quite particular about. Like you can learn, okay, if you play this, if you're going to choose to play machinist, for example, then you want, like, this is the most optimal way to do the opener. You know, you click this and this and this and this, like you weave this and this. So this is also a lot of information. Typically when you're starting out, it's okay, you know, to not be perfect on all of this stuff. It's fine. But when you're ready to like kind of amp it up and learn like how to be more efficient with your job, how to do more damage and stuff, you can take a look at all this stuff. It's a lot of numbers, it's a lot of information, and then after that it's a lot of practice to execute this in this particular order, and then know the difference between doing this opener versus this opener. Okay, so it's just a lot, and there are a lot of videos of people explaining all this stuff, so you can go look up those things if you're at that point and you want to get better and stuff like that. Okay, so that's that. So that's what know your job means when most people say that. Miscellaneous other things. It's nice to change the pet size for things, and it's also nice to decrease the battle effects of other people's. Like, I'm sure you've been in raids, like alliance raids and stuff, where everyone's doing all sorts of things and like all the battle effects are going off. There's fire, there's like, you know, ninja stuff, there's all sorts of things all over the place. And so you can go into character configuration, character battle effect settings, and like change up all of that in here. Okay, I can show that bit. Let's go outside. I'm gonna go find something. Oh, I think there's a striking dummy out here. This is the most structured video I've made. I usually don't structure everything this much, like going along slides and scripting. I mean, I'm still YOLO swag talking about stuff, but like the fact that I have a slide deck for it is like kind of a lot for me. My other videos are going to be more like, all right, I'm going to play out the footage and I'm going to show you and explain what is happening in the fights, and I'll explain the fights like that. If you've seen my other YouTube channel, I've got over 200 something of guides of dungeons trials of like the main storyline and stuff like that, and so that's kind of what you can expect to see for the rest of this channel. This particular video is, I wanted to give as much kind of basic knowledge as I could, even though it's already probably 2 hours long of content. It's a lot of information and there's just so much more you can get into it, but I don't want to, because one, numbers, and two, is just already an overwhelming amount. Okay, so thank you for sticking around for education here. Okay, so what were we doing? Battle effects, right? So you can see all this stuff, these effects, right? This is just mine. Oops. Okay. Like, so you see all this stuff everywhere. So if I if I go to character configuration, and then it's this first one, control settings. Oh yeah, I wrote that wrong in my slide deck. Okay, but it's this one, control settings, the first one, character, and then you scroll down a little. My own, I can limit it or show. See, if I do show none, there. See, now you won't see any effects coming out. See, like, even if I use this big flame thing, you won't really see that much. You'll see a little bit on the enemy, but you won't see much like going out. So now if I wait, character configuration, control settings, character. If I do show limited, then there, I get a little bit more, you know? Like I get these tiny little effects and stuff. Yeah, you know, I see a little. Okay, and so that might make it a little bit easier to see like the boss and things like that. Dang, I did it again. Character configuration. But for mine, I do show all, and so I can see all of my animations, because I like it, you know, it makes me feel like I'm playing a video game. It makes me feel like I'm doing some damage here. Okay, but I have turned it off for everyone else because it's just so chaotic. Yeah. You'll see it if you do fights with you'll know the difference turning this on and off. Okay, so I'll let you experiment with that on your own time. Figure out what you like to see from other people, and if you need to see it at all. I determined I don't need to see other people's effects, so I'm good. So I leave it like that. Okay. So back to this. The pet size thing, I was trying to get footage of it, but I was like, wait, I don't have a summoner leveled. And so I went on my other character and I was like, yeah, I leveled scholar, therefore by default I have summoner, but I've never played summoner, and so like most of my hotbars were just X'd out because they removed a lot of skills, and I was just having a big old trouble trying to figure out how to like summon anything. I did like one quest for summoner, and so I had like the Ifrit Eggy something, but I couldn't figure out how to move it out. It was a whole situation, and so I just took pictures instead of other people's stuff. Okay, so pet size all small. This is the text that you would write in your chat box to change it. Okay, so this is the small size. I'm standing next to it for reference. They're just hanging out. Okay, they're about the size of like a regular, like, tall person. Not LOL, but like a regular tall person. They're about that size, okay? If you do medium, look, it's way bigger, okay? It's way bigger. And then if you do large, they're pretty large, okay? They span, like, I'm down here. Can you see? I'm down there. So the issue with this, if you have multiple large pets, summoners, if you have multiple summoners in your alliance raid or raid in general, and like you can get this stuff that happens. You know, they're all stacking on each other and it's like taking up a majority of the screen, and it's like, whoa, what is going on? And then this stuff, they all crowd around and things like that, you know what I'm saying? And then it's just like, wow, it's like all up in my face. So, you know, it's nice if you care about being a bit more efficient, then you can change it so it's pet size all small. Okay, so that's just a little helpful thing there. Okay, mechanics versus strategy. Mechs. Yeah, mechs is what mechanics are, and strats, they're strats here. Yeah, I must have been getting tired at this point. You can see the amount of effort in this slide. What the fight throws at you, what it does, and how it works. Generally, mechanics are scripted in the fight. There's small variations, but like there's a timeline of what the boss is going to do. It's going to do the raid wide, and then a tank buster, and then, you know, a stack, and that kind of stuff. That stays pretty consistent. Like in this MMO, like they're pretty consistent with their fights. Strategy is how you deal with or handle the mechanic thrown at you as a party or by yourself. And so, you know, if we have a double stack, for example, that's the mechanic that's thrown at you. The strategy could be we split up into 2 parties of 4, and each party takes a stack. Okay, so that's one strategy. But another strategy could be the tank invulns 1 stack, the entire party goes to the other stack and takes even less damage from it. And so that's really dependent on the group that you're playing with, how they handle the mechanics thrown. The mechanics won't change that much. It's all scripted. But how you handle the strategy is player base, is group base, it's people stuff, okay? Yeah, mechanics are static, they don't change. Strategies, there are many different strategies to handle mechanics. People usually list out what guide maker strategy they want to use. Sometimes they mix different people's stress on one fight. Okay, so for example, on YouTube, there are some very common like guide makers. MTQ Capture, Hector Lectures, Ilya, or we've also got these things like Payspin's not a YouTube channel specifically, but like people might say Payspin in party finders for like ultimate fights and stuff, and that is basically Payspin's like a website where you can post like notes and things like that, and so people will post a list of strategies that they use, and let's see, they'll post, oh my gosh, I'm blanking. There's these things that people use that has the it's like a slideshow of the mechanics, and then it shows the stuff. Let me go grab one real quick. Final Fantasy Raid Planner. Like toolbox, that's what they're called. They're called toolbox. Okay, let me find one real quick so I can show it. I know, I'm like so prepared right now. Okay. So this is pastebin, okay? So someone might say in the party finder thing, it would be pastebin. So you go find the pastebin, and it's this page, and it has a list of all these other links. And then you would copy this link, okay? And so this is pug living liquid. So that means pick up group living liquid, so that the fight is with the boss. This is an ultimate fight. And so they separated by different bosses here. And so I will paste this, and it will go to this toolbox. Okay. So it has all this here now, and then I can click over, and it'll show me all the mechanics and stuff. And so that is what pastebin is. If you see that, it means somebody posted a list of toolboxes somewhere into this little like notepad online, and people are just sharing that around. And so you would go to that pastebin to then go to the toolbox to see what strategies they're using for that. That one's a unique one. Generally I see that on Aether a lot, rating, like in North American rating data center. Okay. Whereas in European rating, usually they will say, they'll have the names, and then they'll more specifically use macros to show the mechanics and things like that. There's other types of toolboxes and raid planners and all sorts of stuff that people will use, that you will have to just get from the person who's running the party. Like ask them, hey, which one are we using? And have them send it to you, or at least give you the name of it so you can go find it yourself. JP strat is another common one. Like Japanese raiders might, do this or that strategy in their general raiding party finder stuff or raid finder stuff, and then so people in NA or EU will adopt the Japanese strategy for that. Things like that, okay? There's a lot of other names people use, and if you're not familiar with them, again, just ask or Google it so you get to familiarize yourself with different guide makers and things like that. I don't expect for the party finders to ever mention Ghost Guide, because I don't make guides that people generally use in raids. One, I haven't made any high-end content raids. That's what this new channel is for. But also my guides are super, super long, and most of these other ones are just like to the point. Like it just tells you exactly the mechanic, exactly the strategy, and then you move on. Whereas I'm like nitpicking about everything. And so that's kind of what you can expect and not expect, okay? Like some people really care about the strategy they use, and they want to simplify it for people. I personally, from an educational standpoint, care more about explaining the mechanics to people so they can figure out what strategy works better for them. Like I think the mechanics part is what's more of a foundational aspect of raiding that I care about. And so my audience here, if you're gonna hang out on my channel for a while, are going to be people who care a lot about understanding how the mechanics work in a fight. Okay, so yeah, moving on. Common raid terminology. Preposition means, okay, a mechanic is going to come up soon, so you can move to your spot a little early. You can position your spot a little bit earlier than the mechanic calls for. Okay, so like sometimes like the boss might do a big AoE underneath them, and so you know this is going to come up, so you pre-position by moving out of the hitbox already before you even see the AoE. Okay, inside outside the hitbox. So this is, let's go over here. Maybe I'll just queue into something. Where should we go? see, this one. Sure. So, what was this? Inside. Wait, I can't see the slides. Okay. Spoilers if you haven't seen this guy before, but okay. Here, see his hitbox is the circle, right? And you can see the little side ones, the little side things over here. That's gonna be the like perfect side. Okay, so let's see if he does the AoE thing. Okay, see, so I'm gonna go to the inner cardinal here, and so I'm gonna go outside the hitbox and like I get out of it. Maybe this is not a good example. Okay, so that was a cone in the front. This is a raid wide. But here I'm inside the hitbox. Here I'm outside the hitbox, okay? And so if something is gonna happen in the hitbox and a raid person calls out outside, usually they mean outside the hitbox, like get away, okay? And then inside would be inside the hitbox. Let's get rid of this stuff. Okay, this is not the best example, but I was just afraid I would kill things too fast in the other ones. Okay, clock spots, clocks. That one I explained earlier with picking your spot on along the clock, so north, south, west, east, or whatever, and then if this is like the north spot, if we have to spread, I run north. Okay. If this is a south spot, if my spot was south, I would run south when we're spreading apart. And then stack together means you go together with your group wherever they are. Like party healer groups, I think we went over that already. Partners, pairs, we went over that too. That's the one with the four down here. So you have a partner and you need to go with your partner, essentially. Okay. And then Tank Buster. TB stands for Tank Buster. Tank cooldowns. Okay, so this is a stack marker, by the way, in case you didn't know. Okay. Yeah, maybe I should type that out. So I'm gonna change the whole thing. Just fine. Okay, so TB for Tank Buster. Okay. And then tank cooldowns, that's basically like your rampart and things. Let me get out of this. Oh, I can't just get out of this. Okay, never mind. It's also gonna take too long for me to die. Okay, let's keep going. I'll go back to talk about the tank stuff. Okay. Cardinal, intercardinal, I explained that earlier. So that's the north, south, west, east is the cardinals. Intercardinal is the corners. Okay, so we went over that. So like this fight in particular, I have to go to the inner cardinal in order to clear that stuff. Like because he did a T shape, he did north, south, east, west, and I had to go to the cardinal like corners to avoid getting hit with the big beams and stuff. Okay, and then let's see, re-instance, that means leaving the fight so you can change up the timer over here. Okay, I died because I didn't go into the time gates. This was a bad example. Let me get out of here. But this is this is the next one, reset or wipe. Okay, so I wanted to reset and get out of here or wipe, but I couldn't because I was in the middle of the fight. So I'm going to leave the incense or abandon the duty to get out of here. And I will show, let's go to be a warrior. And I will queue into something else maybe. Here, we'll do this. Because I know I can jump off the stage if I need to. So, the tank cooldowns is gonna be this stuff here, like Rampart, Vengeance, like the things that help reduce my damage. Okay, so if people say, tank, use your cooldowns, that's what they mean. They mean start using these things that help defend you. And invuln is gonna be, I know my slides thing is kind of covering it, but I've got this thing that will make me a bit more invulnerable. Okay, so every tank has one of those. And so whatever tank you're playing, make sure you know what yours is. There are some tank busters, which is like really big attacks that can do a lot of damage. And so some people might opt to just use their invuln so they don't get hit with any of that. Okay. Now, if the fight's not going very well, and like a bunch of people are dying and stuff, people might say just reset or wipe. Reset would be just killing yourself intentionally so that everyone can start fresh from the beginning again, because there's no point in like trying to recover from something, and so that will just save time for everybody and give them another try. And so that's kind of like, it's a nice thing to do, to be respectful of everyone else's time and stuff. Also, this is the echo thing. Maximum echo, damage dealt, potency of HP are increased, and things like that. Okay, so that's what's making this fight a lot easier, because I'm level 90, and this. I think I inhaled something, so my throat is kind of... I've also been talking for like an hour, more than an hour. Let's finish this one, and then we'll get going. Okay. Let's just go back to this. Okay. Oops. Greed is when somebody needs to get out of a mechanic, but they decide to stay in it so that they can do another attack or use another skill, and that's greeding. And typically this will get you into trouble because there's a good chance you might get hit with something. So if someone ends up dying, they might say something like, sorry, I was being greedy. And so that means like, sorry, I stood in the mechanic when I knew I shouldn't have because I was trying to get one more attack in. And when it's in the middle of the fight, that's usually what greed means. You can also greed for loot at the end, as in saying that you want it but you don't need it, kind of thing. Okay. Prio, this stands for priority. We need to prioritize this mechanic over this mechanic, or we need to prioritize saving the healer over a DPS or something like that. So if people say prio, they just mean to prioritize, to pay more attention to this thing than something else. Cone, circle, line, those are AoEs. So if it's a cone, like we've seen these things, right, in other fights. It's like a triangle shape, a circle, AoE is a circle one, and then we got a line. Oh, there's also a donut. So these are just things people might call out that you'll have to be aware of when you're doing your runs and stuff. Okay, so if you're not aware of it, make sure you're looking up these things. There's a bunch of other common mechanics and things, and I'm sure there are people who have made compilation videos of all of those. I'm not going to because I don't have executive functioning to do that. But yeah, if that's something that you need to prepare yourself before you get into any of this, then I would recommend searching for those, just so you can see it beforehand and get used to hearing people like call them those things. I will be calling them out in my videos in the particular fights. I'm just not going to make a separate video just for that. kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Whenever I see it though, I usually will draw. Okay, so this is a triangle cone here. Okay, data center travel. Typically when people are raiding in North America, like people can raid wherever, but if you're using Party Finder, a lot of people move to the Aether data center to use Party Finder there. There's more people in Party Finder. And then in the European data center, the Light data center has more Party Finder listings than Chaos. I'm not sure about the Japanese ones at all, so you'll have to look elsewhere for that. If you want, you can like read this travel guide on how to do data center travel. It has all the things to explain how to do that. Okay. Social part of raiding. Okay, this is gonna be a long one, and so I'll take another break here, have some dinner, and I'll come back and give a whole spiel about the social stuff. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, hello, I'm back. I had some dinner. I've got some energy. Let's continue. So the social part of raiding. Okay. How to find people to play with. Usually, if you don't have a group of people to play with, you go to Party Finder, which I have talked about a lot already. People generally refer to people in Party Finder as randoms or randos. You know, either way, it's random people. If you go to Party Finder and play with random people, you're gonna experience a lot of different types of people, and it is not for the faint of heart. Okay, so if you are particularly sensitive to how people treat each other and just, you know, general kindness, then going to Party Finder is likely going to be a very intense, stressful situation, especially if you're going in for raiding. Like, don't get me wrong, there are definitely nice people, but the probability of getting a group or get into a situation that's negative is kind of high. And so just know that if you're thinking about getting into it through Party Finder, okay, this is, you know, equivalent to going to a random place without doing any research and just expecting everything to work out, but then you go there and then it ends up being a group of people who are just like sad, depressed, and angry, and you're just like, whoa, what? I thought we were just playing this thing. No, you came here for raiding. You're gonna have to deal with the people who are also trying to, you know, play a video game to let off their stress. And the way people let off their stress is by, you know, projecting their stress elsewhere, to usually onto other people. I know this all sounds bad, but it's, I think, better to be realistic about it. Okay, like when I joined, I was just like, whoa, there's so many little things I don't understand, but I'm just feeling bad about myself for some reason, when ultimately, once I learn about all these things, I realize this has nothing to do with me. It's just other people who have their own problems, and they're bringing it to random people in random Party Finders because they can't handle such and such. Okay, and I've got more examples of that, but I won't offload all of that right now, just so that we can keep this a bit more brief. Like, I'm sure when I make the other videos about all the different raids, I'll remember different stories and stuff. I will have plenty of time to talk about different raid situations I got into and like how I handled it or how I didn't handle it, things like that. Okay, so just know, if you're gonna go raiding with Party Finder and go with a group of random people, that there's a potential that you'll encounter people who are either very stuck up or very rude, or, you know, will leave without saying anything, things like that, and you might be left guessing like what the heck's going on. And if you are particularly sensitive, and there's nothing wrong with being particularly sensitive, like, just know that's what you're getting yourself into. If you want to have a better chance at kind of dipping your toes into Party Finder, maybe bring a friend or two with you who you can already like know and be comfortable with, and so that they're there in the same situation and you can all kind of, you know, support each other through the experience. That would be helpful. But if you're going in fresh, it's more uncommon to find a really nice, good group of people to play with. Then it's more common to find people who are just either there for business, you know, just want to get the fight done, or are just there because they're frustrated with other stuff, trying to get the fight done, but then they're bringing extra baggage in with them. Okay, so be wary if you're going to join Party Finder. Like at this point, I run most of my content all in Party Finder because I've been running like the old content, and so I'm fine with it. But I also have a lot of experience, and I have experience and knowledge on like what to look out for, but then also the experience to know how to handle these situations, because I care a lot about this type of stuff and like learning about it and analyzing it and like helping people and things like that. So that's a bit different than when I was very fresh and I was just like, wow, this is a lot to handle. And I would say that I'm a particularly sensitive person. Like I notice a lot of very subtle things and little details, and I think that's what, you know, helps me in many ways, especially with like learning fights and stuff. But if I don't understand why something is happening, why someone's acting a certain way, then I get sensitive about that, in that it affects me. But now when I notice it, like I'm sensitive and I pick it up, I don't let it affect me as much, because I've learned what is supposed to affect me and what's not supposed to affect me, that kind of thing. So just know, if you do want to just run with Party Finder, you can learn and figure out how to handle people who are a bit more negative or a bit more sour, but it will be definitely a learning process. Okay, next we got statics. So statics are going to be groups of people who have a set schedule and they play together like regularly, and you can find statics through recruitment pages, through word of mouth. In Party Finder, sometimes people will recruit for their static there, and the reason it's called static is because static things don't change that much, and so they're calling it a group that doesn't change. The thing though is that generally statics do change a lot because people go in and out of statics all the time. So the thing with raiding is and just playing with people and just living life is that you can't be super rigid about all these terms, and that is really hard for me because I'm a very rigid person. But I've learned that yes, statics are supposed to be with a set group of people, but that set group of people can change often because personalities don't line up, rating styles don't line up, all sorts of reasons. Okay, free companies. If you are not already in a free company or don't know about them, free companies are similar to like guilds in other games. There's groups of people who band together to do content together, like normal content or hard content, whichever. Sometimes free companies will have dedicated like hardcore raiders in their group, and then so you can go raiding with them if they run it like that. Like all free companies do their own thing, so you would just have to find a free company that focuses on raiding or has a subsection of their group that does raiding, if that's what you're looking for. Raiding link shows. This can be just any like link show or cross-world link show. A regular link show would be on the same world, and a cross-world link show would be anyone on the same data center can get into that. Cross-world link show. Anyone in the same data center can chat inside that chat box, and it's cross-world because any world is it. Okay, I'm getting confused. I'm confusing myself, but I think I said everything that needed to be said. The point is, a link shell is a chat thing, if you didn't know. Kind of similar to novice network chatting, stuff like that. And it's just a group of people who will use the same chat room. It's like a chat room. And so you can find specific rating link shells if you want. They're a little bit harder to come by, honestly. not a lot. I haven't heard of many people using it, but if you happen to find people in Party Finder, for example, that you get along with and you want to stay in contact with them, they might be like, hey, do you want to join my link show, or do you want to be friends? And then we'll like, you know, message you whenever we're running content again. Things like that. The more common thing is to join Discord communities, and in the later slides, I have a few that you can look into just to get you going. People will generally say, hey, join my Discord. We do raiding here, or we do this and that there. So you can find Discord communities to do stuff with. And Discord is like, it's basically like a social media type thing. A lot of people use it for chatting and things like that. It's like forums. It's like you have a server, and then you can create channels and you can chat and things like that. It's very common for people these days who use Discord. It's a website. It's common for people to use Discord for their gaming community and things like that. So look at Discord. If you type Discord into Google, you'll get a bunch of information on it. Okay. Last, how to find people to play with. You just make friends. And I know this is probably one of the most difficult things to do in general, especially as an adult. It's difficult to make friends. In game, it's difficult to make friends. Like, it depends what type of friends you're looking for. But yeah, I could make a whole nother video on how to make friends in the game. I'm not going to, but it's a lot. There's a lot of different ways you can go about trying to make friends, but you know, just like in life, everything's a hot mess. Everything is all over the place. So if you can make some friends, then you can always ask your friends if they want to go raiding with you, but you have to go make the friends first. So yeah, sometimes if you're running with random people in Party Finder and things like that, you can become friends with them, and then that's how you create a core group of people. And then maybe that group of friends likes playing with each other for a long time, and then that becomes a static, and then maybe the static continues growing because you got extra people who you want to play with, and then you make a free company and you make a Discord for everybody. You know, it can all blend together. It can be a good time, and you can create a nice little like cozy group for yourself if you're positive and you try hard to like find people who work well with you. Or you can get stuck in this endless loop of just being upset and frustrated because the groups that you find, you just aren't meshing with them. It's a gradient of like, that's just what socializing is like in general in life. And so when you go into a video game, you're gonna see similar things. You're gonna get cliques. You're gonna get like niche groups of this and that. And so just be aware of that. Okay, so here are some of the Discord communities that I was talking about. On NA, so North American servers, we've got like I've been to all of these, and I can like vouch for them. Okay, Good Game Squad. If you want to do current content, they are a good group. They teach savage fights to people. This is the official Square Enix Final Fantasy XIV community finder, so you can search things there. And so this is the Good Game Squad. This is their kind of all this information. You can read this on your own time. You can join the Discord here, all this stuff. So yeah, you can go to the community finder and just search up all sorts of things, okay, and find groups of people to play with here. Free companies or link shells, cross-world link shells, things like that. You can pick your data center, pick your world, things like that, okay? So you can try to find people to get along with. This is for like normal content and also difficult content. If you specifically want difficult content here, there's like tags, high-end duties, and things like that. So you can find things like that, okay? So Good Game Squad is a nice group of people. They do teaching events for the current raids. And then this one down here, synced and minimum eye level in AA. This Discord community, they will post things where people are running old content, minimum eye level, so as if it was new content. So they bring the item level down. They usually turn no echo on, and then run it like that so they can fully learn and experience the fights. Final Fantasy XIV Savage Learning Academy. This is also another community that helps teach people savage fights and stuff like that for NA. Okay. In EU, so European data centers, this Sync Academy is a good one. They teach a lot of fights, a lot of old fights, and so this is a good resource if you want to kind of build your way up, starting from the older fights up into new content. They've got events going on a lot. European Raiding Central, look at how many people are here. There's like a lot of people who are there talking about raiding, looking for people to raid with. There's recruitment for statics and different groups and things like that. There's posts for party finders and things. Okay, so there's like a lot of different ones. There's a bunch of different things, and these are just some of the ones I picked out as like the main ones and good ones I know of. So the general recruiting discords, Final Fantasy recruiting, Savage Ultimate, other stuff. Okay, the links up here, you can like copy these links down if you want to join them. Okay, this one's a recruitment one. This one's also another recruitment one, and so you can go there. This one, this one's pretty new, but I think it's very good for looking for communities. It's a directory, and so inside this Discord server, they have lists of other Discord servers that you can try out to see if you like them and stuff. There's other things like hunt discords and stuff to announce when they're doing hunt trains. Hunt trains again are when you go around together fighting like A rank, S rank bosses and enemies and things like that to get the currency, to get the end game loot and all that stuff. Look that up if you're interested in end game content. Like hunt trains are very, very common. Okay. All right, moving on. Types of raiders. I want to reiterate again. These few Discord communities are just the ones that I really thought was organized well enough or had enough like content regularly that it's worth kind of checking out. There are going to be other Discord communities and servers where you'll go there and there's like nobody hanging out, or there's like way too much information and it's not organized at all. And so it really just depends on what you're looking for. Okay, so these are the ones that I liked. You don't have to join them, or you can join them and realize it's not for you and then you just leave. It's fine. But yeah, these are some common ones. Okay, types of raiders that you will meet. So the thing with this casual, midcore, hardcore, you would think that casual means, oh, we're just chill, we're having fun, whatever. And then hardcore is like, hell yeah, we're gonna beat this thing. But for some reason, like from my experience, when people list that they're a casual static or a hardcore static, like usually people mean the amount of hours they will put into the fights. And it's weird to me because the timing itself doesn't indicate okay, this sounds kind of mean, but the quality of raiding people will do. It's like, let's say a casual static might run a fight, like they might meet up for 2 hours once a week. Okay, like Saturday in the evening for 2 hours. So that's considered casual. You only raid a little bit. Hardcore would be like, you guys, we're gonna go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 8 a.m. until 12, and then on the weekends we're going all day. Like it can vary, right? So that's like a lot. That's like a full-time job. But at the same time, you can get people who want to do hardcore content and they're putting in all these hours, but then they're stuck on the same fight for months. And it depends on the fight, but two, like if people aren't taking it seriously and they're putting time in but they're not taking it as serious, then it's like, are they really hardcore raiders? Okay. Conversely, A casual static, it's like, okay, we're just running once a week, but everyone's super focused, super like on the ball with like executing their job, having all of their stuff, like their food, their pots, tinctures, and gear all set. Everyone's just like there, you know, they're present. And then you get 2 fights done in a night, whereas another group who calls themselves hardcore because they play every single day might take, you know, twice as long just to do 1 fight. So it really is ambiguous. Like I'm saying, these labels people use don't necessarily mean the dictionary definition of what these things mean, and it might not mean what these words mean in other games either. In Final Fantasy XIV, generally if you see people say casual, midcore, or hardcore, they're talking about how much time they're expecting you to invest in running content. Casual usually 1 or 2 days for a few hours per week. Hardcore is like usually like every day or every other day, but it's like a lot. And then midcore is anything in between that. And so it almost means nothing, honestly. To me, it almost means nothing. So you'll have to just get a feel for it, because there's not a really good definition for it, since everybody interprets it in their own way. So I don't even care about this anymore. Whenever I look for recruitment stuff, I skip over and try to read other things that they say about the recruitment. Okay. In terms of vibe, we got chill people who are just like, hey guys, yeah, let's just go, let's have some fun. Oh no, it's alright, it's taking a while, it's okay, I got time, it's all good, you know. We got salty people who are just like, I can't believe you're doing this, like, why are you always involved in it? Like, they're hot-headed, they are blaming other people for things all the time. And you get tilted people who are just like angry, like legit, like cursing people out, like rage quitting things, or, you know. So figure out who you generally prefer to hang out with and go find people who are like that. Okay. And then in terms of experience, we've got these different things. We've got noobs, fresh, sprout. Those are all basically newer players. Sometimes you get some people who have experience but aren't confident in themselves, even though they've cleared X amount of fights, and they might still consider themselves a noob or fresh. And that has more to do with like personal, like self-reflection than actual rating experience. And so again, you can't take this for the dictionary definition or the like rigid definition of stuff. Okay, take everything for a grain of salt. A veteran would be considered someone who has done the content before and has knowledge and experience, and people are kind of hoping for help from veterans because they want someone there who has done this stuff before. Legends, I put this in quotes because you can get these titles in the game, and if you have cleared any ultimate fight, the most difficult content in the game, then you can get, you know, something legend. So like the ultimate legend, or, you know, I don't remember what they're called, but something legend will be your title underneath your name. And so if people are walking around with legend, their legend title there, that means they cleared the fight. But I put this in quotes because they might have cleared that fight and not know any other fight. And so it's like, I'm not saying everyone who walks around with the title is like this, but there are definitely some people who walk around with the title and they're kind of just having it up to show it off. And it's kind of like an all talk situation where like, oh yeah, I'm like a hella good raider, I could clear this. But then it's like, okay, let's go to this like easy quote unquote easier fight, and then they're just like having a horrible time, they're getting angry at people. And so it doesn't really reflect this title that they have, the legend. Just because they finish one fight doesn't reflect on how they are as a raider in other fights. Okay, so you can't take it super serious. Okay, like the thing with ultimate raids is it's very long. It takes a long time to prog to learn the fight, because you're going to get a lot of people who cannot handle the people problems that comes with ultimate raiding. And it's keeping a schedule, having people show up on time to do the if you're doing a static, like a group content with like a static group, people not showing up on time, people complaining a lot, and like a lot of times people just get tired of that, you know? And so it can take a really long time to clear some of the content. The fight itself is a bit challenging, but once you learn the fight itself, like if you take the amount of time it requires to learn a fight, it's always a little bit less than the amount of time it takes to get along, to find people to play with. That's usually the problem. And so these legends here, it would more likely describe the amount of time they've invested in something, the amount of shit that they can take from other people to get through the content, to get the clear. And so I'm not saying this isn't worthwhile. I'm saying, like, it's impressive to have finished something like that. So especially if you finish it through Party Finder and you're just like, yeah, I went through the slog of like the dredge of humanity of this MMO, and just I made it out of it with this title. And that's why I carry the title with me, because I dealt with so much just to get through all of that. And by so much, usually it's like mindless grinding through the same fight over and over for months kind of thing for that one fight, okay? But just because they can do the one fight doesn't mean they can do every single thing. They'll probably have a higher chance of being able to pick up on things because they went through the ringer of the higher content, the ultimate stuff. But again, take it with a grain of salt. And again, I'm not saying there's anything bad about the ultimate legends and stuff, but at the same time, there are some sketchy things people do, and some people will pay for these titles, okay? And I'll just leave it at that. So they might not actually have the experience, but they got some money. Moving on. I'm just gonna leave that. I'm gonna move on from that. Raid leaders. These are the people who are gonna be doing call-outs for stuff. If you're running with a static, generally, hopefully, you have a raid leader, someone who's generally keeping everybody on track. Things usually work a little bit better if you have a raid leader or a main person that is keeping things organized. If there's not a raid leader, or at least a very communicative group, a group that communicates a lot, then you're probably going to have a harder time with stuff, okay? But generally, most groups, the person who starts the party, the person who is corralling people, person who's doing call outs, they would be kind of referred to as raid leader. Like during the fight, if you're in a voice call with people and they're saying, you know, the mechanics that are coming out and what to do and all that stuff, usually that's the raid leader person. Yeah. Okay, that was a lot. Again, I'm not shitting on the ultimate people, okay? I've encountered, maybe this is my personal bias and baggage, but I've encountered a lot of people with the titles who just, yeah, were not what I expected. So take it for a grain of salt. Again, there is also a big subsection of the people who had the titles who were just like, I don't even want to talk about it, it's all blur, like I'm just so tired. And so I think that's more common, and the people who have that probably don't wear the titles, you know, like they've cleared the fight, but they don't need other people to know they cleared the fight. It's a whole thing. I don't want to get into the entire like sociology of the game and the players in the game and stuff like that, but I'm sure someone else has done an analysis like that. Let's move on. Personalities, types of people. I just said I didn't want to go through the sociology. You're going to meet a lot of different types of people. I wrote a few different situations down, so I guess I'll just read some of these. Person who is super peppy, really positive, little text emotes after everything they say, hella chipper. Okay, so you just get that overly friendly person. Cool. Person who replies to everything to show they have all the knowledge. Okay, so this type of person is this like gonna always have to have this last word to, and sometimes it seems like they need to prove something to everyone, where no, like, and other people are just like, man, okay, like, yeah, we already said this, but they need to be known as the person. You know what I'm talking about? It's just, yeah, so I've seen that a lot. People who say obviously when clearly it's not obvious. This is touching on being toxic here. It might be obvious to some people, like certain common knowledge raid things, but it's if like half the party is dying to this thing, it's not obvious. Okay, it means you have the experience that other people haven't gotten because they haven't done the content before, and therefore it's a good teaching opportunity. It's not really helpful to just call people out as if they're dumb, but if we're taking the dictionary definition of it, yeah, if people are fresh, then they're not going to be knowledgeable about stuff. So saying things like this is not very helpful, especially to strangers. Okay, so that type of attitude is something that you might encounter a lot. People who say somewhat toxic things then feel bad when they realize but don't know how to handle the guilt, shame, so they get defensive or offensive. It's a whole thing. Yeah, and so sometimes people will say things like maybe obviously, or like, ew, I don't want to do that because that, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll realize, oh, that was mean. But then they'll double down on it because they don't know how to backtrack it. Or basically, they just don't know how to say sorry. Okay? It boils down to that. If you don't know how to say sorry, and then, like, you know, soothe the emotional vibe of the group, then things are going to get out of hand. And so this is something to kind of, like, these are the things I start noticing. And I'm like, oh, that's what's happening. Okay, I'm not going to take it as serious because they're getting defensive right now because they made a comment and they just realized that what they said was not good and they don't know how to say sorry. So this is them trying to say sorry, but it's a, you know, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. People who only respond to some stuff in chat but prove they see chat but don't actually listen, participate in group stacks, etc. Okay, so, you know, sometimes people can't type in chat very well, especially if they're on console or if they're playing with controller. I play on controller, and so I can't type all the time. But every now and then I'll like reach for my keyboard and start typing things mid-fight. But you'll get some people who it seems like they're just not listening, and so it kind of requires being patient to see if maybe they can't see the chat and they're not responding. But after a while, it's kind of like, okay, if they're only responding to some things, but then clearly not doing other stuff together with the party, and it's like affecting the entire group. If one person's not stacking and they need to stack, and it's just wiping the whole party, then that's a problem. And that can get frustrating. And so if you notice that, just know that some people do act like this. They just don't want to do what the party is doing for whatever reason they've got. So you have the choice to continue trying to communicate with them, or and try to keep going and accommodate whatever they're doing. Or you can say, hey, this isn't working out for me, or I'm gonna head out, things like that. Okay, so it's a whole thing. Person who is clearly having a bad day but wants to stay but ends up making their problem everyone else's problem. I think we've experienced this generally in life in general, but this happens a lot in the video game too. Again, a lot of people play video games as a way to escape from whatever life situations they've got, a way to like relax, a way to like de-stress and stuff. And so you're gonna see the result of all of that in the game a lot more. And so if someone's having a bad day and they don't know how to regulate themselves, and they want to stay in the video game to feel like they're accomplishing something, they're probably going to project their issues and make it seem like everyone else's problem and everyone else's fault. And that's not cool. But that may or may not happen to you if you go raiding with random people, okay? Or not even random people. I'm sure if you have your own static, like that can come out too. Like people get comfortable with each other, and then Like there isn't like firm boundaries in place, and so it's like, well, we're ecstatic, I can say whatever I want, we're close, and then they just unload their entire life story, and then it's like, whoa, we're in the middle of a fight, why are you saying all this right now? So it can be all over the place. People who keep saying they're bad at the game and putting themselves down to the point it gets really awkward and depressing for everyone else. Yeah, it's one thing to not have confidence in yourself, but to vocalize it all the time, it can be really hard on other people. I think many people will try to reassure those who are not confident in themselves, but that should not be something that is a constant. You know, like everyone needs to take care of their own mental health and emotional health, and you can lean on your friends here and there, but your friends are not your therapists. And so if you're having such a hard time with your self-esteem and confidence, and then you go into the game and then you just like lay it on even thicker, and it's just like, dude, we're just trying to clear this, like this A Realm Reborn fight. Like there's no need to be so down on yourself. It's, you know, it can be hard for everyone. It's hard for the person who's having a hard time. It's hard for the people who want to, you know, clear the fight, but also don't want their friend to be sad. And it's hard to know how to help someone in that situation. And it's not healthy if that person is constantly relying on other people to validate them. So there's a whole situation like that, okay? And really, I want to say, it's not your responsibility if someone's acting like that to take care of them. Which brings me to this last one. Super friendly, helpful person who doesn't know how to say no and eventually burns himself out. Okay? I've seen a lot of people try to help everybody and then in turn just feel burdened and depressed and all this stuff because they want to help everyone, but you literally can't help everybody. So combining kind of these two together, like mental health is such an important part in life in general, and also in raiding. You have to take care of your mental health because you're doing content that is difficult in itself. The fights themselves are more difficult than normal content, and you're dealing with the difficult content of socializing. If you don't have the social skills required to communicate with others and work well with others, and you also don't have the confidence to like set your boundaries, to regulate yourself, and you know, kind of keep yourself in good spirits, then you're gonna have a bad time and you're gonna bring everyone down with you. Or you might know people who are like that, and you know, you're on the other side and you want to help them, but you don't know how, and they don't know how, but you keep trying and they keep taking, and then it's a whole thing. Everyone gets dragged down by that type of stuff. So sometimes it's better to say, like, let's just take a break. Everyone just take some time to like practice some self-care, get a drink of water, stretch, something. Let's come back with a fresh mind, and we'll keep going after this. We'll focus on the raid after this, okay? Like, if emotions get high, everybody just take a break, take a breath. It's a whole situation, okay? That's a very common one. In the heat of the fights, people will get emotional because they're tired and stressed, and they're so close to finishing whatever phase of the fight, but then someone is like making accidental situations arise in the game or just through chatting, and it can trigger other people, and it's a lot. Okay, so personal responsibility, make sure you're taking care of your mental health, make sure you're taking care of your emotional health. Physical health is also important. You know, stay hydrated, do some stretches, don't just like crouch in the same position for hours on end. Like, if you want to be a good raider, you got to take care of all of these things, like your body, mind, and soul and heart and all that stuff, so that you are more present and like able to learn and grow and succeed through the fights. Okay, social awareness, being aware of your own mental state, being aware of your own emotional state, being aware of other people's emotional state and not getting triggered by it, or being aware that someone's not having a good time and maybe helping them if you have the energy to help. Being a team player, okay, like you want to be helpful, do things with people. Vibe check, making sure the vibe is good, people aren't getting all upset and angry all the time. Having equipment for voice chat if your static requires it. Usually most static recruitments will be like, hey, like voice chat is required, but you don't have to talk, just have the ability to listen. And so you'll need to be able to go into a voice call and at least listen to call outs and things like that. Okay. Okay, more tangible things that you can take care of personally before you get into raiding. Make sure your gear is set for whatever fight you're going to do. Repair your gear. Make sure the item level is at least at the minimum. Make sure you got melded gear if you're doing higher end content. For the minimum eye level stuff or synced old content, it's not as important to meld your gear unless you're running like all minimum eye level and you want to have the best melded gear that you can at that point. The people in the minimum eye level no echo community can explain more about that. There are spreadsheets and all sorts of things that they get into. Okay. Make sure you have food, raid food, and pots like potions, tinctures, and things like that. Look up guides if people list it. So like in Party Finder, if people are saying we're using this strat, this strat, this strat, that generally means they expect you to know those ones. So you can go look those up, the names of those, and kind of get an idea of what they're like. Or if you're not into that, then you can look for parties that are like, that say blind. If it says blind party, that means they don't look up any guides, they don't look up any strategies, and they go into it and just figure it out as they're going. And that will take a lot longer, but some people prefer to solve it on their own. Like that's what they enjoy about it. And so figure out what type of people, what type of way you want to play, and then find people who play like that. Understand how to play your chosen role, or let people know you're new to it and learning. So this is the know your job slide from before. Where is it? Somewhere, this one. With the openers, rotation, and all that stuff. So you can go check out that website that has a lot of information on how to play your job well. Sometimes people don't really care about it. They're just like, yeah, just join. Hey, we're just here to have fun, you know, we'll just do whatever. So it doesn't matter as much for those, especially if it's like older content. But for the current, whatever current raid tier it is, they're going to expect that you know how to output a decent amount of damage, or do tank swaps, do like healer things, okay? And another personal responsibility is just willingness to understand mechanics and strats. You know, it's like if you are going into these raids not wanting to learn anything and you just want to get carried, then there are services for that. I'm not recommending them and I'm not advocating for them, but generally if you're going to go play with other people and they're asking for, you know, someone who plays this job at this time or at this, they're expecting that you're going to show up and at least try to learn stuff and just try in general, okay? But if you're just going to go there to have everyone carry you into a clear, then they're going to get upset and it's going to be a bad time. So at least put some effort into learning certain things in whatever way you have to. Some people learn better by doing, so they want to just get into the fight and learn there. Some people do better looking up guides beforehand. Whatever you got to do, just do that and let your group know if you're running it with a static or any other group. Or if it's through Party Finder, sometimes people will join the Party Finder and be like, I'm going to watch a guide right now. And then it's like, okay, cool, that's where they're at with that. Okay, communication is key. Okay, I'm gonna touch on toxicity. This is like one of the first slides I made, so it's all over the place. Toxicity is annoying and hurtful because it's bad no matter what. Toxic negativity. Dude, are you fucking blind? Why are you stinging all the AoEs? Okay, so that's clearly bad vibes. Okay, they're cursing, they're accusing, things like that. Toxic positivity is, pro tip, don't stand in AoEs, smiley face. This one is passive aggressive, and it's still bad vibes, okay? You know, what do they say? Pick your poison. If you had to pick one, which would you prefer? Someone who's hella negative, who's obviously negative, or someone who is negative but pretends like they're being nice about it? It depends, okay? It's subjective. Whatever you prefer, it sounds weird to say pick which one you prefer, but for me, I would prefer someone who's just outright negative, because then I know that it's obviously their problem and not mine. Maybe I was standing in the AoE, but like, if they're gonna be this angry about it, I know that has nothing to do with me. At this point, I know it has nothing to do. Like, yeah, I can learn how to like not stand in the AoE, but I can't teach you how to be a nice person. You know what I'm saying? Over here, it's like, I don't know, the toxic positivity really gets to me because of my neurodiverse brain. I don't like it because it requires me to take multiple steps. I have to figure out, are they actually trying to be nice to me, or are they making fun of me, or, you know? And so having to use some brain power to parse out the fact that they're actually making fun of me or actually dissing me, that kind of pisses me off more. And so I really don't do well with toxic positivity. The passive aggressiveness is just so frustrating for me. I would prefer someone be very direct like this, because then I know very clearly the vibe they're giving off is genuine, but to whatever their own situation is. That has nothing to do with me. The vibe over here with the positivity part is just, it's fake. The positivity is fake. Their tip is like, it's obvious. It is kind of, usually you don't stand in AoEs. Yes, that's obvious. Okay, why do you have to say pro tip and add a smiley face like that? You know, it's unnecessary. So this stuff just aggravates me so much. I'm getting riled up. So that's how much I dislike it. I'm not saying I want people to start yelling at me. I've definitely had people yell at me before, like in the game. I was in voice chat with groups and someone straight up yelled at me, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, Jesus Christ, this guy's definitely had a bad day today. It has nothing to do with me. I'm able to parse out what they're actually trying to say a little bit better because I can deflect all of the emotional part, because I don't have to parse out if this is something bad or good. Okay? And so that's that. Honestly, generally, you'll see more toxic positivity in Final Fantasy XIV, and it's a shame, but yeah, that's what I've noticed. A lot of people say, I haven't played that much WoW or anything, but a lot of people say WoW is super toxic, and I think it's because you get more of this in your face negativity all the time. And I can understand why people wouldn't want to be around this, right? I don't want to be around this, but if I had to choose between this and this, generally I would prefer this one. But I still play a lot of Final Fantasy XIV because it's the first game I've played, and I like the game itself and all this stuff. So when I encounter toxic positivity, I usually shut down my emotions a bit, and I'm like, I'm not interacting with this person, and then I just become more like monotone about stuff. Or I don't really voice chat with people in general, but like, I mean, Party Finder, if I'm just typing in chat and I see this stuff, then I will just really clip the things that I say, and I'll just give the simplest things that I can say to communicate, because I still want to communicate. I just won't actively go out of my way to be genuinely positive or be friendly, because I don't want to interact with someone like that. And then once I'm done with whatever instance we're in, I leave. I'm good. I don't want to like play with them anymore. So that's kind of how I deal with it. I try to notice it when it's happening, and then I figure out the quickest route to leave without being reactive, you know? Like, I don't like just rage quitting. Like, I've built up enough tolerance for stuff that I won't just rage quit out of an instance. I'll usually say something. But, yeah. I forgot where I was going with that. I was just rambling. Yeah, I don't like this, I don't like this, but I don't like this even more than this one, okay? Which is why maybe I should just play WoW. No. I got other things. I got school to do. Okay, this wild neutrality. I noticed some people are still getting caught in AoEs. If you're having trouble, you can pre-position yourself during the whatever cast. This communicates the same thing as these two, okay? But it's nicer. It's neutral. It's like, it's getting to the point and not calling anyone like a... I almost started cursing. It's not calling anyone anything bad. It's not making them parse out if they're getting made fun of and things like that. You know, we just get to the point and then problem solve it together. And then another version of that is, I notice we're still getting caught in AoEs. We want to make sure we can pre-position during the cast. Saying things like we is such a small, subtle social communication thing, but it's a small tool, trick you can use to make people feel better, okay? If I say we are getting caught in AoEs, even if I specifically am not getting caught in AoEs, I'm calling all of us a team. And collectively, as a team, we're getting caught in some of the AoEs, and I want to help the team, us, all be on the same page and overcome this obstacle, this challenge, this mechanic. And so little things like this, hey you guys, like, let's work together. We're still getting caught here. Let's figure out how we can help each other, okay? It's better than, dude, you keep doing that. Why do you keep doing that? Or over here where it's like, hey, don't do that, but get out of here. So man, wait, where's these shapes? Where's the shape? Is there an X? There's an X. I hate this. Red. More red. I'll do gradient red. I don't like this one. If you ever encounter me in the game or talk to me in any manner that's toxic positivity, I'm gonna get so mad. I probably will just ignore it, but I'm gonna get so mad. I hate this. It's so frustrating. It's because I'm such like a rigid person. I'm so direct and like, what do they call it? I'm so, like, I think in such a rigid way, and I prefer direct communication because of my rigid thinking, that I don't like this stuff because it is not direct. It's not genuine. So it bothers me so much, okay? Don't yell at me, but also don't do this. Just tell me what's the problem, okay? Just tell me to my face that you have a problem with me. Tell me to my face that like I keep messing up something, and I'll be like, yeah, I know I keep messing up. Can you help me, please? And then we'll figure it out together. I don't need this pretend to be positive about it if you're just gonna actually be making fun of me, okay? Yeah, it's getting personal. I really don't like it. It's the whole thing. Okay, but again, you're going to see a lot of that, so be careful if you're sensitive to that stuff. Just find a way to like go to your mental safe space and be like, this is their problem and not mine. I'm not going to retaliate. I'm not going to be passive aggressive back. I'm going to be a better person. I'm here to have fun. Okay, let's move on. We're good, right? I think I've talked a lot about this. We're good. Okay. Fights are scripted, people are not. Okay, this is the epitome of where your raid failures will come from, people. Okay, this is me brainstorming. I think I just left this in here. My roommate was trying to help me. My roommate says the loss of individuality and the thinking of the party as one, the release of individual. You're just adding to the sentence, are you? Okay. This isn't really anything. This is me just brainstorming on like what to say. But the main idea is that the fights are scripted. You can watch replays of people doing the fights and you can just learn the fights like that. But you can have all the knowledge of the fights and like know all the strategies. However, if you're going to run the content synced with other people, you need those other people to do their stuff, and you need to get along with those other people in order to clear the fight. And so that is the whole situation with playing an MMO, okay? You have real people that you have to deal with, and so you have to learn some social skills to be able to clear the stuff that you want to clear. Unless you want to just wait and do everything unsynced by yourself solo. That's also fine. But then it's kind of like, what part of the MMO RPG part are you in the game for? Do you want to go raiding with other people? Is that important to you? If it's not, then it doesn't matter. But if it is important to you to play the content with other people the way it generally was intended for, like when it was designed, then you have to learn enough social skills to get along with people in Party Finder, people in the static, your free company, in Discord, whatever. Wherever you end up going, you got to figure out how to get along with other people in order to accomplish whatever you want to do. And that is a fact of life in general too. Okay? Moving on. Okay, we're at the end. Finally. This is going to be the longest video I've ever made in my life, basically. Okay, plans for this channel. I have buckled down the past month and I've recorded a lot of video footage, and I am going to be making videos for the extreme fights first, and then Savage, and then Ultimate, okay? If you have followed me from my previous YouTube channel, Ghost Guide Final Fantasy XIV, I kind of had this like on and off schedule of making video guides, like all clumped together, and then I'd take like a month break and all this stuff, and then I'd come back and dump a bunch of videos again. I don't know what the cadence will be for this channel. I am in school and it is a bit more challenging than I thought it would be, and so I don't have that much time. And as you see in this video, are we at the 3-hour mark now? I don't know. I'm gonna have to edit all these chunks together, but I make very long videos because I talk a lot, I ramble a lot, I go on tangents, my ADHD gets latched onto something, and then I go into an even further tangent, and then I tell myself I shouldn't look up something, and then that gets worse, and then I have to look it up. It's a whole situation, okay? And so my videos are going to be very long, and therefore I have to figure out time to be able to make this stuff when I don't have that much time these days because I'm in school. So it will take a while for me to do all this stuff, but just know that I think there's 66 here. I have at least 66 videos of footage that I've already recorded, and so when I have time, I can sit down and go through the fights. I keep going back on whether I'm going to call them guides or not, because in my previous videos, in my other channel, I definitely wanted to go through all of the content and explain all the things, intending to help people, and I was comfortable calling it a guide. But because I'm rigid, I didn't want to call these guides because I didn't want to, like, if I called them guides, I would go through and like make diagrams and raid plans and like toolboxes for everything, but I don't want to do that. I don't have time for that, and other people have already done that, and so it's like there's not a need for that for me necessarily. But I think what I can provide, which I've provided in my other channel, is kind of the long form of, hey, I'm going to show you in real time how this stuff works. And I'm going to pause things like we're watching a sport match, and I'm going to highlight over things and explain this mechanic, and then like what we're doing here, and I'll show footage of me in a group trying to clear content and how long it takes, all this stuff. Okay, so it's gonna be jam-packed with a lot of information, but I hesitate to call it a guide because most people who look up guides are looking for like short, simple to the point. I'm about to do this fight in like 5 minutes. I need as much information as possible. And my videos are not going to be 5 minutes long. So it's more, that's why I call this channel Raid Stories, because there's just long-winded stories about things that I've done and experienced, and I hope that you can gain information out of them, okay? They're also going to be long because, as I said, I have ADHD. I have to learn the fights. I've already done a lot of fights here. I'm almost done with all the extreme fights. And so with all of that, you know, eventually I'll make the actual videos of these, and then eventually I gotta go learn the savage fights so then I can make the videos of them, okay? And so that will take time too. I'm trying to be more chill, low-key chill, and find moderation in how I do things. I'm learning more about my ADHD and like how, yeah, I do like doing things in chunks, which is like doing chunks of videos at a time is the way my brain works. It works well like that. And so I am trying to figure out how I can better do this so I don't burn out and all this stuff, in addition to this new school stuff that I'm doing, which, what do they call it when like you insert a thing? Like your own commercial? Your shout out? Is it a shout out? Or or something? No, it's something else, like humble brag? No. Dude, you know what I'm talking about? The one where it's like you're not guilty, non-guilty, showing off something. What is it? Something about not being guilty for like inserting information about something else. Dude, okay, it's gonna come to me. I'm gonna remember in like a moment, probably. I'm gonna fixate on this. Anyway, point is, it's gonna be long videos. I have school, yes, and oh yeah, people problems. Just like running the fights themselves, sometimes I still am gonna encounter problems with people in Party Finder to do these other content and things like that. And it's usually fine because I can manage myself, but sometimes I do want to take a break from it. Okay, so I got a lot going on, but I do want to make the content because it's fun for me to like help teach stuff and plug yeah, people, shameless plug. I got it. That's ADHD for you. In the back of my mind, I was running trying to figure it out. Shameless plug. I have another channel where I just do studying for like school stuff. I don't talk, I'm just studying. But you can see the stuff I'm studying if you're interested, or just need some ADHD like body doubling to help you focus on your own stuff, whatever. It's like, I'm not presenting anything there. I'm not sharing like information necessarily. I'm just showing that I am alive and working on other things. And so if you don't see me making videos for a while, it's likely because I am studying a lot for this other stuff. Okay, so that's that. And then I've got this channel, and then I've got my original Ghost Guide Final Fantasy 14 channel where all the normal raids are. Well, there's also trials and other raids and dungeons and things like that, but that's more of like the Sprout casual content. This channel is going to be more for the raiding stuff. Whether I call it guides or not, I don't know. But you know you're going to get a lot of information out of it, okay? Just know you will. Because I talk a lot about all sorts of things. Okay, that's it. Okay, we're good. We're done. My roommate was like, I bet it's going to be the longest video you've ever made. And I was like, maybe. And then when I told him I was taking my second break from it, he was like, so it's going to be 3 hours? And I was like, yeah, probably. Anyway, okay. You like this picture? It's kind of cute, right? Slouching down in a throne, telling stories like an old man, but drinking a juice box because I like juice boxes. Usually it's probably apple juice because I like apple juice. Yeah. Great. Okay. That was a lot. I hope you didn't watch all of this like all at once, and hey, future me for editing various things that whatever I need to edit it all together, like hello, thanks for the work, man. And if you did watch this all in one shot, good for you. But like all things, I hope you take breaks, especially when you're studying or learning new things. It's a lot. I wish everyone the best in your rating endeavors. And if you're waiting for me to make ultimate guides, you're gonna have to wait a long time, okay? Because I gotta go through the extremes and savage things first. Because again, my heart goes to the sprouts and helping people build up their confidence and getting them up to the level of being able to, you know, achieve whatever further goals that they want. So I need that first. I need to maintain that part of me who likes to teach the younger people and help them grow, and then we'll get to the higher stuff and eventually do the ultimate content. Okay, sounds good. That's it. I am tired, and I will see you in, well, I'm not going to see anybody because I make all these by myself, but if you see me around Final Fantasy at all, you're welcome to, you know, say hi or join in on whatever raid I'll be doing. It will likely be an extreme, savage, or ultimate in the future. I don't really do other content right now because I'm just focused on getting footage, but that's always cool. And if you have any questions, you can leave comments and stuff. And if you want to just hang out in a low-key way while I'm studying, you can always join me on my other channel. I don't know what else to say. I don't script like what I say in real time, so this is also why my videos are so long. Okay, bye.